to declare that the duly elected leader of the Labour Party is Andy Burnham.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks so much. I believe in all of you, and I am confident we can do it. Thank you very much. I have just come from Buckingham Palace, where I have accepted His Majesty the King's invitation to form a government. I know people at home are fed up with politics. I hear you, and I want to be honest with you. We have not been good enough, and we need to be better. We will be.
This man has no mandate whatsoever. He didn't stand on the 2024 general election manifesto. You cannot make the biggest change in British politics in 40 years without a mandate from the British people, and it will be only decent, right and proper to call a general election on that issue.
Our fifth Prime Minister in 4 years. Blimey. And, well, look, we want him to succeed. But will this one be any different? Andy Burnham, the new head honcho, the speed this all happened, I know this is a well-trodden debate already, is actually breathtaking. 1 minute he was Mayor of Greater Manchester. What, a month and a bit ago he wasn't even an MP. The next he's holding keys to number 10 without the country ever really having a chance to scrutinise him in a prospective prime ministerial nothing at all. We really know very little.
I think Burnham has to walk a fine line. I think that's probably what's going on, because if he were to sweep into Downing Street and say, I'm going to change everything, I'm going to fix everything, I'm going to do things different, completely.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
There you are. Good morning and welcome to Sunday Breakfast right here on Talk. I'm your host, Kevin O'Sullivan, standing in for the marvellous Mark Dolan, and I'll be with you all the way to 10 o'clock. Stand by for 4 fantastic hours of news, views and topical debate. Get involved, get it off your chest, get on the phone and call me on 0344 499 1000, or you can WhatsApp voice note me on the same number, and I promise to play your message out. It is Sunday, August the 23rd. Here's what's coming up. The storm surrounding the return of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle has exploded after Labour MPs insisted that cash-strapped British taxpayers should fund their £5 million a year security. Today it emerges that Harry has privately pleaded with Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood for the armed police guards he thinks he deserves. But since the dim Duke and his American wife will not be working royals, why should we shell out for their protection? 0344 499 1000. In other news, royal author and one-time close friend of Princess Diana, Tina Brown, says that Meghan's role in the Netflix TV series The Gentleman has already fallen through, and the Balmoral Summit, where King Charles and the royals are holding crisis talks about how to handle Meg back, is understood to have done little to quell the fury of William, Catherine, Princess Anne, Prince Edward and Sophie, none of whom can stand a sight of the gruesome twosome. Ditto Camilla, who oozes contempt for Harry and despises Meghan. In other news, Kemi Badenoch, Tory leader, says a deal with Reform UK would be monstrous and dismisses defectors like Robert Jenrick and Suella Braverman as, and I quote, some of the most dishonest people I have ever met. Also on to this morning's action-packed show, MPs failed to learn the lesson of Starmer's Freebiegate scandal, as it is revealed that the greedy Commons crew have gobbled up a staggering £400,000 worth of hospitality to concerts, sports matches and other events so far this year. Cabinet Secretaries Louise Haigh, Lucy Powell and West Streeting, all looming large in the snouts in the trough stakes. Not a pretty sight, is it? 03444991000. Plus, sex offenders in England and Wales are being lined up for libido-suppressing drugs. A new law will protect vicars who keep the vile confessional secrets of child sex offenders. And Andy Burnham's class war continues apace as he sends out sinister inspectors with the power to demand entry into properties to assess if they're worth more than £2 million and therefore liable for the socialist government's mansion tax. Refuse to cooperate and you may be punished by a £200 fine. This is Labour's campaign against the middle classes and it continues apace. Later, I'll talk to Tim McNally from the village that roared, Piddington. Tenacious Tim is leading the fight to save rural communities from massive migrant camps. He calls it the battle for Britain. Are you with him? 03444991000. All that and so much more, so don't go anywhere. Stick with me right here, right now, on Talk, the home of free speech and common sense. Let's spend Sunday morning together. And I think she's the only other person in the country who's actually awake and ready to go. She is with me for the first hour, commentator and also senior fellow from the New Culture Forum, Emma Trimble. Welcome, Emma.
Happy to be here.
Are you? Are
Wide
you sure? Are you absolutely sure?
I am wide awake, spring chicken.
Well, that's one of us then. That's more than I am.
I've been caffeinated from my lovely talk mug.
I don't think there's enough coffee to wake me up in the world at the moment. But anyway,
Have it done intravenously.
Let's get going. Harry and Meghan can help us wake up. I mean, they are, of course, dominating all the Sunday papers today. A poll made on Sunday has got a poll saying that just 4% of Brits say that Prince William should make the first move in the peace talks that we believe will have to happen in order to somehow or other handle the return of the gruesome twosome. I mean, William can't stand Harry, nor can Catherine. They despise Meghan and Harry. Camilla hates them both. Princess Anne, Prince Edward and Sophie also absolutely detest these people. So the King trying to broker this peace deal, Emma, up in Balmoral at the moment, at this summit. I mean, good luck with that. He alone seems to think that somehow or other we can have peace in our times. But it's a hell of a long shot. And I think so far the King, I don't think he's got his head round the magnitude of this, that the people of Britain are furious about these two.
I think he probably does, because I think he will be minded to protect the monarchy, as I think William is as well. But they are still a family, and he is still a father, and I think that's probably where this is coming from. Whereas conflicts between siblings are a bit more complicated, and I think, as this poll suggests, I think the British public, probably having experienced similar things themselves, recognise that William would have to be so magnanimous to be the person to make the first move in this. Like, the responsibility is not on him. Harry has behaved atrociously. He's completely broken trust with his own family, as well as with the nation. So I think we can understand why I almost called him Prince Charles, King Charles. It is early.
We still do make that mistake. Yeah,
it's so early. It's a couple of years ago. Yeah. You can understand why Charles would want to reconcile. He's also had his own health issues, but the reality is that them coming back here to the UK is going to cause a whirlwind of trouble. It's also coming at the time when Prince George is just about to start school. And as I say, William is minded to protect the monarchy, and I think he's probably concerned to protect the monarchy from his brother and also from his brother's wife.
Indeed. Now, Harry, as we know, continues to harbour this obsession with getting taxpayers to fund armed police guards for him and his family when they come back. To wit, now he has, he spent a lot of money, millions of pounds on legal attempts to get the government to provide full-time 24/7 police protection with guns when they come back, and he's constantly been turned down for it. The last time he appealed, got turned down and had a real hissy fit, gave a nasty little interview to the BBC, but saying, I can never bring my kids back then. That's it. It's so sad. I can't bring my children or my family back to show them my home country. Here we are a year or so on, and suddenly that doesn't seem to matter so much. But we're hearing behind the scenes, we're learning this today, that Harry apparently has privately pleaded with Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood about getting armed police protection, and more concerning, because I think the people of Britain will be furious if they ever do have to pay for Harry and Meghan, because they're not working royals. But we're learning that Labour MPs, who they like Harry and Meghan because Harry and Meghan are left-wing, and Harry and Meghan don't like Trump. So these idiot Labour MPs, they want British taxpayers to fund these two people's or their families' protection. Now, these are difficult times. People in Britain are struggling, the cost of living crisis. And we are expected, really, to pay for these people's security, £5 million a year. That should not be our burden of responsibility, particularly in these difficult times. And if the King presides over a situation that ends up British taxpayers paying for Harry and Meghan's and the kids' security, there's going to be hell to pay.
Yeah, I think to strawman the Labour MPs' position.
Yeah.
Now, please, audience, bear with me while I do this, because I'm not saying I agree with them. To steelman their position, I think that there is a point to be made that it's not even about the fact that previously, he did so much public service, etc., as if security is a reward for public service. But somebody in his position in the UK is very exposed to security risks. I think there is a case to be made that the decisions like that should be based on a proper assessment of what the risk is. We've seen this increasing threats, even after the death of the murder even of Anne Widdecombe. We're living in increasingly febrile times. There is a case to be made for the state providing security for members of the royal family, senior members of the royal family. Right, park that. But he made a decision to leave this country, to turn his back on it, to criticise us on the world stage, to take decisions that were actively damaging to the monarchy. And most importantly, the two of them have been making money off the back of their royal associations. I mean, it is their entire moneymaker, is the fact that they are in proximity to the royal family. I suspect actually one of the reasons why they might be coming back to the UK
is to polish that connection.
It's because they've been away for so long and they're not popular in America. They've been away for so long.
They're not making money over there, are they?
They need that proximity to be able to continue banking and cashing in their royal check, as it were. So it's £5 million. They have the capacity to make a lot of money by virtue of their proximity to the monarchy. Why can they not potentially? Although it's all been a bit of a flop.
The trouble with those two, Emma, is they're not very talented. So they've proved in America they had the world at their feet, and it's all gone, completely wrong, completely pear-shaped. So they're running back here with their tails between their legs.
And it seems that Meghan might not actually be making a comeback on this latest.
Well, look, I mean, the point about this story about the gentleman, that she may or may not have been in talks for £1 million role. Well, £1 million role. £1 million is not going to help those two. That is nothing. That's a drop in the ocean. So
tiny fee for someone like Meghan Markle.
And it certainly is not the reason they're coming back. I mean, it's a minor role in a so-so TV series, Series 3. They're not coming back for that. I suspect they're coming back for reasons of a financial crisis. As you say, closer proximity to the royal family will increase their earning potential. At least that's
And of course, they have to pay this £9 million in legal bills
by next Friday. By next Friday.
So, Yeah, my ongoing joke has been that maybe they're coming back here to claim from our generous benefits system.
Yeah, or they're our new migrant crisis coming across the across the Atlantic. But I do think that this issue of their security, they need security. I mean, don't get me wrong, but there's no reason we should pay for it. Don't forget, Harry, or rather Princess Anne and Edward, they don't get 24/7 security, and they're very hard-working royals. I mean, William, Catherine, the King and Camilla do get 24/7. The rest of the family don't. So why should these two coming back from America, who aren't going to be working royals, why should we pay for
They
it?
have an astonishing entitlement complex,
Yeah,
Kevin. I think that's really what this boils down to. They made this whole case that they wanted to kind of go out on their own and be independent and, you know, not reliant on daddy's money. So they have to sort of put their money where their mouth is. And if they feel they need security, then they should pay for their own security.
Or their dad, or his dad will have to pay for it, not us.
But
not us.
I mean, it's very difficult to make the case that, and I don't know how they can morally make this case, that the British taxpayer, who is already struggling, should be the one to foot the bill. Because £5 million is no small amount of money. That money could be put to such better use. Than paying for the security of a couple who could probably afford it if they tried.
Absolutely, absolutely. Or certainly their dad can. You're right, that's the point. People are struggling in this country. Our taxes are sky high. We will not tolerate having to pay for these people's security. It's as simple as that. So they're going to have to pay for it themselves. We'll be talking to Di Davis later on in the show. He, former head of the Royal Protection Police Squad. We'll get his take on all of this. But it is an interesting developing storm because they should be back within a few days. And, you know, the mood on Planet Royal is absolutely furious. So we await developments on that front. What's your... you feel that it's... I agree with you. You feel it's money, that's why they're coming back.
I think that there are probably several reasons. One of them might be the King's health. Maybe there's something we don't know. It could also be that they feel that now is the moment to come because once the King is gone, the door will slam on them rejoining the royal family. This is the sort of last opportunity for them to have that kind of proximity because the falling out with William and Catherine has been so great that if they were to wait longer, probably that opportunity would pass. And I mean, some of it might be just sort of the family human desire for reconciliation. I'm sure that, you know, Harry and Meghan will have different motives for why they've agreed to make this move. But ultimately, I think from the behaviour that we've seen from them previously, there also must be There's kind of cynical motive. Yeah. It can't, because if it was just about reconciliation, if it was just about the King's health and about wanting wanting the King's grandchildren to get to know him,
I don't think
then they would have done. Then they would have done it sooner.
I don't think they care about the King's health.
Well, there was an interview that Harry did where he was asked specifically about this and about the King's health, and he came out, and I thought it was very callous. He said, "Well, I have my own family."
Yeah, I know.
I mean, if my dad was ill and I was asked that question, there is no way on earth I would say, "Oh, well, I have my own family, so I'm sorry, I'm not interested in that."
All you need to know about those two, Harry and Meghan, is remember the way they treated the Queen and Prince Philip in the last years of their lives. Let's not go running...
And also, I mean, the way they've treated their own children, right? Because they've deprived their children of their grandparents. Because of this rift in the family, they're also being deprived of their cousins. And that's the nature of family rifts like this and fallings out, and it's very sad. But it's also an active decision on their part. You know, they chose to go and move to the United States to visit very infrequently. I know the reason they give is because of security. But I don't think there is an excuse for depriving the King and Camilla of their grandchildren in this way.
Let me tell you something. There's another element to this. We kind of broke this on Friday, on Drive Time on my show on Friday. Apparently, ever since Harry's been in America, 6 years now, there's been problems with his visa, whipped up by the Heritage Foundation, a kind of Thatcherite think tank in Washington.
Do you think he's avoiding being deported?
Well, no. This is serious. This is serious. I interviewed the Chief Executive of the Heritage Foundation on Friday, Niall Gardner. It's got 500,000 views now on YouTube. And he said, make no mistake, he's been waging this campaign for transparency. The American people, he says, have got the right to see Prince Harry's visa because there's a question on it, the key question, have you ever been convicted of drugs? Have you ever taken illegal drugs? Now, you know, most people have probably taken illegal drugs and they don't say, well, I can't tell a lie, you know. Everybody puts no, right? Fair enough.
But they also haven't written him in a memoir confessing it.
Well, yeah, well, at the time, he put no. That's the feeling. And then he wrote that book saying, you know, he was a very enthusiastic, you know, muncher of mushrooms and smoker of dope and all that. And so the Heritage Foundation said, well, you know, did you admit to this on your visa form or did you lie? We have to see this. So they've been on a 3-year campaign. And the American State Department, Niall told me on Friday, they're very, very close to saying, yeah, OK, I think people should see this. So Niall Gardner said 100% as far as he's concerned, Harry's come back because it's very close to the point where his alleged lie on his visa form will be revealed. If he lied on that, that will put the American authorities in a very difficult position because that's a felony offence that carries a 5-year jail sentence. So,
God, imagine Prince Harry being extradited.
So trust me, everybody's going, what's the reason, what's the reason? According to Niall Gardner, it's that his visa issue is about to explode into the public realm.
There's a real sense, isn't there? I mean, even just the simple fact of having been dishonest in that way, there's this real sense that they think that they are above everybody else and that they don't have to behave in this. The rules don't apply to them. That surely Prince Harry would be treated differently because he's Prince Harry when he's in America, even if because he obviously didn't think, oh, I better not. You know, better not mention that, better not confess that in public. But it's the same also with the issue to do with the funding of their security, because this is a couple who, I mean, they're going to be moving back to the UK. I think there was talk of them moving to the Cotswolds. They have a house in Montecito. They have a house in Portugal. If they want to have security and they can't afford it, sell one of your...
If it's proved that Harry just lied. And also there's will boost their earning potential. Is Harry just coming back cap in hand to his dad and saying, Dad, I need some money? Who knows? Listen, we better go to break now. More of this later, but I think we'll probably try and concentrate on a few other stories, non-royal stories, when we come back, so stay tuned. You doom-mongers, you're just killjoys, aren't you?
That's just silly, isn't it? I'm not a doom-monger. I'm a fact-monger.
Yeah? Well, why can't people just enjoy the summer?
And 1,000 people are dead. And 20 people have lost their homes.
No, well, that's bad.
And
I agree with that.
the army has stretched beyond breaking point,
your
fighting over 1,000
facts. You can't say 1,000 people have died because of climate change. That's right.
Well,
you laugh in a
government
condescending
says.
way. You're making yourself look ridiculous. Don't blame me.
This is not a discussion. This is just a rant.
Yourself look ridiculous. Don't blame me.
This is not a discussion. This is just a rant.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I'm still with broadcaster and senior fellow at the New Culture Forum, Emma Trimble. Emma, let's talk about Kemi Badenoch. Big story this morning. I mean, every day and every week we seem to get somebody from the Tories or Reform saying, we'll never do a peace pact, we'll never do a peace pact. They probably will in the end, but at the moment they're very much in that mode where they said, no, never in a month of Sundays. Well, Badenoch now says that a deal, a Tory deal with Reform would be monstrous. And she has said that the Tory defectors to Reform, we're talking about obviously Jenrick, Suella Braverman, Danny Kruger, are some of the most dishonest people she has ever met. So she does seem to be making it difficult for any peace pact. Why do they do this, these politicians? They always do it, don't they? We will never, ever, ever do a peace pact, and then they do, don't they? Every single time, particularly straight after an election, if it means that the only way they're going to become the government is forging this pact that they've been telling you for the last 5 years they would never even think about, they just do it. Why do they subject us to this ridiculous circus?
Yeah, I mean, I love Kemi. I, at one point, publicly backed her. But I mean, the politics of this don't seem to really make too much sense to me, because surely what you're doing by saying this is actually alienating Reform voters who might come back over to the Conservatives at some point. And if you say that people who have gone from the Conservatives to Reform, and presumably she's thinking of people like Robert Jenrick or Suella Braverman, people that she feels have left the Conservatives when they were at their low point and were part of the sort of problem in driving the Conservatives into the ground. But I'm not saying that's my opinion. Yeah. But I think when it comes to the next general election, the suggestion that Kemi has made is that if there is a hung parliament, that there should just be another election. I don't think that that's a realistic prospect. I mean, it seems quite likely that the Reform and the Conservatives are not going to win an outright majority on their own and are going to have to form some kind of coalition. And I feel that we should be working towards that now in order for the right to unite and prevent us having yet another monstrous left-wing government. Imagine if we had a situation where we had, you know, the Greens and the Lib Dems in coalition, or Labour and the Lib Dems in coalition. That would truly be monstrous.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, the big question is, you know, make no mistake, if there's an election and the Tories and Reform haven't formed some kind of pact, they're running against each other, and the results mean that if they formed a coalition, they would become government, they would form a coalition. It's what they do all the time. It's one of the big areas of deceit among politicians, one of the many areas of deceit where they always say, we will never, ever do a peace deal, and they always do when they need to. The question about Reform and the Tories, though, is it's all very well at that point after an election, but will they do a deal before an election? Because I think after an election it may well be too late.
Yeah, I think, you know, you look at the current voting intention, one of the most recent polls suggested that the Conservatives are still behind reform. And Kemi has made the argument that when the Conservatives won in Aberdeen South, they won with 50% of the vote. They campaigned primarily on North Sea oil. It was a big victory for them.
Yeah.
But that if reform had stood down, then people would have said that the Conservatives had only won that seat because reform had stood down. Now, I understand that the Conservatives and also Reform, they want to be the next government. They don't want to go into coalition. Kemi is working very hard, and I think she is doing a very good job of trying to flog the dead horse back to life and to resurrect the Conservative Party. Obviously, that's what she wants.
I mean, but yeah, she's a one-woman show. That's what the Tories are.
Because so many of the sound Conservatives have gone over to Reform.
Yeah, but people keep saying, "Oh, she's doing so well. The Tories are on the way back." Look at their performances in the recent by-elections. I mean, these are not areas you'd expect the Tories to do well, but their performance has been absolutely.
In one instance, they lost a deposit.
Yeah, their performance has been absolutely lamentable. The signs are that despite this shining light of Kemi Badenoch, that the rest of the party, is on life support. They are in big, big trouble, despite the fact that she gives the image that they're fighting back. They're really not, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think that millions of people around the country will never forgive them for the migrant crisis because it's their bloody fault.
Absolutely, and I think, I've said this before, the Conservative, it's not that... Kemi has a Conservative Party problem. Kemi has become, better and better in PMQs. I agree with her on a lot of things, but her problem is that the people just do not trust the Conservative Party. And there isn't very much, actually, that Kemi can do about that in order to gain people's trust back before the next election. This is one of the reasons why so many people from the Conservatives have defected to Reform, and why I think it might not be the smartest thing to come out with comments like this from Kemi, because it will deter people who might be feeling dissatisfied with Reform. They might look at some of the things like Tim Montgomery being suspended and the sort of tensions to do with, the comments that Zia Youssef made about Ben Wallace, and then Nigel Farage saying he was going to give him a telling off, and then the comments that Tim Montgomery then made about Zia Youssef. That might turn some people off and might make them go back to the Conservatives, but then they're met with this attitude from Kemi that the people who have gone over to Reform from the Conservatives are dishonest in some way and have not been loyal to the party. I think that would surely deter people and will mean that the Conservatives stay behind Reform in the polling.
Yeah, I mean, she's talking about, these defectors being the most dishonest people I have met, as she said. But a lot of people feel that about Tories generally, that they were incredibly dishonest to the nation for 14 years. Cameron, Theresa May, Boris Johnson, briefly Liz Truss, and then of course Rishi Sunak, all of whom did nothing to stop the boats. They gave us the migrant crisis, incredibly, no mean feat. Labour have made it worse, but it's the Tories' fault, and no one will ever forgive or forget. And they keep saying, yes, we admit we made a real mess. Well, I'm afraid that isn't going to get you off the hook. That's their problem.
The strategic thing to do would be for them to stand down Reform and Conservatives respectively, to make a deal before the next general election, to stand down candidates where the other right-wing candidate is more likely to win. This is what we've seen with the Muslim vote, strategic voting with independent candidates, where certain candidates have been stood down in certain areas in order to ensure that the most aligned candidate with their strategy is the one that gets elected. I think that's what they need to be doing before the next general election. They need to put aside the sort of party politics of this and focus their efforts on making sure that we do not have another left-wing government. And I actually think that the best way for the Conservative Party to win back the trust of the British public is to show that they can put the country before the party, and that would look like doing a deal before the next general election, in my view.
Yeah, I think the main problem is that although, elections are one thing, governments are one thing, but what's really going in the country, in this country, the left for a long, long time have been pretty well organised. They've organised it so we have a generation of left-wing teachers brainwashing children into being woke and left-wing. So regardless of the government, this has been a very seriously left-leaning country for a long time, and while the left have been working diligently, organising all of this, the right have been squabbling with each other and saying things like they're dishonest, the most dishonest people I've ever met, never going to do a deal with them. See what I mean? You've got organisation and then you've got the right disorganisation.
And you get the same thing with restore and reform. It just seems to never end.
Exactly. Dysfunctional, yeah.
We can all
exactly
accept,
right.
with the exception of some Tory wets, we can all accept that the situation with migration is an existential crisis for the United Kingdom. It's a security crisis. People are being raped and murdered. We have no idea who's coming into the country. We know that terrorist groups are exploiting these networks. This is the most serious issue facing our country, and the right, believing that, surely should be motivated to set aside any ego, any party politics, and do whatever it takes and to work together to ensure that we do not have any more of this come the next general election.
Absolutely. Let's go to break. When we come back, we're going to... This is extraordinary, this story. Front page of The Guardian yesterday. MPs. Do you remember when Keir Starmer and the gang first became the government? Or was it 2 years ago, July the 4th? And they were almost immediately plunged into a massive, great scandal because it emerged that multi-millionaire Keir Starmer and his other cabinet secretaries were basically getting free clothes, free glasses, free suits from their Dr. Feel-Good donor, Lord Wahid Ali. Now, people were disgusted with this. You know, these people, the Prime Minister earns £170,000 a year, Cabinet Secretaries earn £120,000 a year. They're all very, very well off. And there they are getting free suits, free glasses, free clothes. And people were disgusted. So you'd think, well, you know, they had to make all these pledges, didn't they? They said, we won't take free clothes anymore and all this. Well, it turns out they haven't learned their lesson. MPs this year, particularly Cabinet Secretaries, particularly Labour MPs, but MPs this year, so far this year alone, so we're only 8 months into it, aren't we, have accepted a staggering £400,000 worth of freebies. These people will never learn their lesson, will they? You remember the expenses scandal, then you get the freebie scandal, Starmer's freebie scandal, and still they keep taking freebies. They can't stop themselves. They don't understand what a disgusting spectacle we find their activities as they put their snouts in the trough. It's a horrible sight to see, but they carry on, they carry on. We'll talk about that next. Stay tuned.
Across the UK, on on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I'm still with broadcaster and commentator Emma Trimble. Yeah, front page of The Guardian yesterday, Emma. MPs failing to learn their lesson over freebies after accepting £400,000 worth of hospitality this year already. Tickets to concerts, sporting events, other events. It's never a good look. People don't like to see this. Why don't they pay for their own tickets?
Yeah, I feel like my usual comrades, people who would normally agree with me, are not going to agree with me on this, because I think that this £400,000, it relates to, it seems, mostly tickets for events rather than, you know, Lord Ali paying for your wardrobe.
Well, why do they get free tickets when I have to pay for mine?
Because I think in some cases there's a legitimate reason why MPs... Well, firstly, actually, Kevin, I think if you were invited to an event and if the event offered, or a corporate sponsor offered to pay for your ticket to it, I wouldn't think that there was any problem with that. For MPs, particularly if an event is taking place in their constituency, I think there's a legitimate reason why MPs might go to things like the Cheltenham Festival or to even the Brit Awards. And tickets for these things can be, you know, over £1,000 or at least hundreds of pounds.
Don't go then if you can't afford it.
I think that, I mean, I don't entirely disagree with you.
What about if people want to go, why do they get
But I
freebies?
think MPs go to lots of events all year round. There are legitimate reasons why they might do that. And so I think for them to pay for every single ticket, if they're being offered the ticket, there's no kind of conflict there. It's not like they're being sort of bribed. There's nothing dirty about the fact that that they're going to the Cheltenham Festival, for example. That's the sort of thing you would expect politicians, members of Parliament to go to, because these, like I say, these are sort of like national patriotic events like the Brit Awards. But I understand why people feel, you know, £400,000, it's a lot of money, but it's not taxpayer money.
Why does what about Heidi Alexander, the Transport Secretary, gets £1,480 worth of tickets to the men's Wimbledon singles final? So does Ellie Reeves. Ellie Reeves, that's Rachel Reeves' sister. She's got a £1,314 ticket to the Ivor Novello Awards. I mean, these aren't important. They're
well,
just
Wimbledon,
free.
I think, is. I think MPs should go to Wimbledon.
Why? What?
Because it's part of
Why should they get free tickets?
Oh, because I think, I mean, I'm saying it's... Firstly, these events...
Do you think anybody gives a rat's backside whether or not MPs go to Wimbledon?
No, but my point is that these events are part of our national life.
If they want to go, they pay for themselves.
I'm not saying they should go, but I'm not saying it's that big an issue if they're being offered a free ticket. I'm not saying that people shouldn't be annoyed by it, but I'm saying that it's of a different order to the people getting freebies like cash gifts or clothes or whatever that is. I think that there's more of a legitimate reason for MPs to go to these events than other sorts of gifts that they might be given.
Explain this. So 2025, the total amount of freebies that MPs took was £300,000. This year, we're only in August, and they've already taken £400,000. You know, there's an upward trend here that I don't think people will like. I think we know what we're talking about, aren't we? They've got their snouts in the trough.
Yeah.
Free tickets. I'm an MP.
Yeah.
Any chance I could get a free ticket to this? Yeah. These aren't usually in the line of duty. It's that they want to go and see Taylor Swift or whatever the hell. They want to go and see them. So they use their position as MPs to get freebies. People don't like that.
Well, my point is more that not all freebies are made equal, right? So, like, the Cheltenham Festival is different to a Taylor Swift concert. Wimbledon is different to a Harry Styles concert. But I understand...
Well, not in principle, is it?
Well, screw...
It's just freebies.
Well, is it... In principle, yes, I think it is slightly different, because we're talking about something that is part of national life versus something that they might just be going to because they just get a freebie and it's just nice, they just want to go to the Taylor Swift concert.
That's what this is.
But I do, maybe it's just because I don't like Wimbledon, I can't imagine anyone wanting to go to it, but that's made me sound even more unpatriotic. But I understand why people would be annoyed by it, and I do think there is a legitimate concern that MPs are on the make, that being an MP has turned into a kind of celebrity, that politics has turned into a kind of show business, and that MPs are using that to capitalise on basically making as much as they possibly can out of their time in office. I agree that that's wrong. I'm just saying I think in principle that there's nothing that is particularly wrong about MPs being offered free tickets to, say, a particular event that's in their constituency, or that there might be a national reason why you would want MPs going to.
Yeah, I mean, I would accept that, but, you know...
But you can accept
there's no real excuse, in my view, for an MP or a cabinet secretary to accept free tickets or to somehow get free tickets to the men's Wimbledon tennis final because they're MPs. That's wrong.
But I think
that's wrong.
You can accept that not all freebies, in principle, that not all freebies are equal, right?
Yeah, but if it's a constituency event, then of course that's justified. But basically anything else, not really.
What about if a corporate sponsor has a box at, say, I don't know if this is how it works, but like Ascot or something, and they give out free tickets to a bunch of people in politics or whatever. Do you think that would be wrong for them to accept?
It'd be better if they didn't.
Because they're still declaring it. There's still transparency there.
But it'd be better if they didn't. It'd be better if they didn't take these freebies, because we know, there's no such thing as a free lunch. You know, in a sense, this is a kind of form of corruption. They're taking freebies from corporations who want to influence them and influence the decisions of government. So the whole process is dubious. It's a bit like patronage in the House of Lords. You know, the House of Lords is the epicentre of political corruption because it is based on patronage. I'm the Prime Minister, you look after me, you vote for me and I can make you a Lord. I'm a party leader, I can make you a Lord.
Oh, I completely agree with you on that.
All of it, so,
I completely agree with you on that.
Here's a free ticket, but do what we want next time there's a vote.
And I think if you look at all of these things individually, then you can make that kind of assessment. I completely agree with you about that. I just think that sometimes, if there's an event taking place in an MP's constituency, or there's a legitimate reason why they would be invited to that event, then there's no problem with them being offered and accepting a free ticket and then them being transparent about the fact that they did.
Well, in their constituencies, yeah. I'm not sure elsewhere. I think there's a powerful argument to say, here's an idea, MPs, you can't take any freebies at all, ever. Hey, get used to that.
I actually don't feel particularly strongly about it, so I'm happy to have my arm twisted and convinced.
I just want to stop all of their freebies, get it through their heads. It would be fun, if nothing else. Let's go to break. A couple of other serious stories to talk about when we come back. Stay exactly where you are, folks. You doom-mongers, you're just killjoys, aren't you?
That's just silly, isn't it? I'm not a doom-monger. I'm a fact-monger.
Yeah? Well, why can't people just enjoy the summer?
And 1,000 people are dead. And 20 people have lost their homes.
No, well, that's bad.
And
I agree with that.
the army has stretched beyond breaking point.
But your facts, you can't say 1,000 people have died because of climate change. That's right.
Well,
you laugh in a condescending
says.
way. You're making yourself look ridiculous. Don't blame me.
This is not a discussion. This is just a rant.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I'm still with writer and broadcaster, political commentator Emma Trimble. Emma, this is a strange one. Vicars won't have to tell the police about child abuse confessions under new law. The existing situation is called mandatory reporting. So if a vicar or a priest in confession is told, hey, vicar, I'm a paedophile, until now the law has been that vicar is required to report sex offences to the police. Well, they've now been exempted from that, and they don't. So if somebody comes in and confesses to child sex offences, the vicar doesn't have to say anything. I mean, there are difficulties in this argument, but I'm not quite sure what message that sends, telling vicars, hey, by the way, you can keep the secrets of paedophiles now.
Yeah. OK, so I think, and I'm gonna read the wording from the Telegraph, because I think that this law pertains to something specific. So it says this new law, which, as you say, confession has been exempt from. This new law introduces a legal obligation on those working or volunteering with children to report any disclosures of sex abuse to the authorities or face sanctions. So I think that the exemption relates to people who are making confessions, but it doesn't pertain, that they're not working with children. I think that's my understanding of this exemption. So the argument for the exemption is that the seal of confession is something that is so fundamental in canon law. And this actually, it pertains to the Church of England, but the Church of England doesn't really have confession the same way as the Catholic Church does. So this is actually going to affect the Catholic Church far more. Priests have died historically, have been willing to sacrifice their lives.
The secrets of the confession,
rather than break the seal of confession. That's how important this is. And from the perspective of religious freedom, you can see what the implications would be if the state was allowed to force the priests to break the seal of confession, because we're talking in this case about child sex abuse, which I think many people would have sympathy with this and would say, of course, it should be reported. But if the state can force priests to break the seal of confession about that, then there's a principle there that the state can force the church to break the seal of confession. And that is, I think, a fairly authoritarian principle to set. So it is a complicated one, but I understand, given the history of child sex abuse in the church, why people would see this and say, well, myself included, often will say, religion should not be an excuse ever to break the law when it comes to FGM or anything else. But in this case, I think that the argument is pretty strong that you're setting a principle that the state can force the church to break the seal of confession, and that's not a good principle to set. So it's a complicated one.
Yeah, it's a strange situation. Now let's talk about. Here's a nice sinister story from our class warrior government. Not content with. Imposing thousands of migrants, massive migrant camps on middle-class rural communities. King Andy, is now going to send out his mansion tax police. These are sinister inspection squads who will be allowed to demand access to properties all over the country, to demand entry, to assess whether these properties are worth £2 million or more and therefore liable to the mansion tax. So if these people knock on your door and you say, no, you can't come in, you could be liable to a fine of up to £200. Now, if you add the spectre, imagine, you know, hello, I'm from the government, I need to come into your house and assess how much it's worth to see whether or not you pay the mansion tax. You add that to the fact that this government is now using migrants as a weapon to attack the middle classes, middle-class communities like Piddington in Oxfordshire. We'll talk to Tim McNally, the leader of the Village of the Broad campaign, a little later in the show. So you've got this going on, and you've got the mansion tax police, the sinister mansion tax police. This government is just attacking. It is at class war, isn't it? It is class warfare against the middle classes. They hate the middle class, and they're attacking us.
Well, I wonder whether when they go around to make these assessments of whether a house is worth more than £2 million, they'll take into account the fact that they've dumped a load of illegal migrants right next to it, and that makes the house unsellable.
They won't.
And that they've just driven the price of those houses into the ground. There are so many problems with this. It genuinely is authoritarian to you know, have people knocking on your door and saying, I need to come into your house in order to see how many floors you've got, how many bathrooms, how many bedrooms, what the architectural style is, so that we can assess how much your house is worth, so that we can, I think, unjustifiably steal money from you. It's an invasion of privacy. I think it's a serious civil liberties issue. I also think that the tax itself is wrong, because people who have a house that's worth more than £2 million are not necessarily cash rich and able to pay extra tax. Yeah. I don't see why, because someone's house has risen in price because of policies that the government has taken by flooding the country with migrants and radically increasing the population, by not building enough houses to keep up with the demand, through all sorts of other decisions that the government has made economically, that those prices, through no fault of the person who bought the house, has increased over £2 million, that the government should find yet another way to justify just taking money from people. It seems to me simply, I know you hear people say tax is theft, but a lot of these taxes that the government are introducing seem to me so unjustifiable that they are theft. This is just trying to justify any way that they can to just take more money off of people. And the idea that they could rock up to your house and demand to come in, and if you refuse them entry to your house, that they could fine you not only £200, but apparently this fine could go up to £500 if you continue to refuse. So I just, it's so wrong. It's so wrong.
But, you know, this is... we've got an extremely far-left government at the moment, bordering on Marxist, and this is what's going on. They are just attacking the middle class. You know, like most of these socialists, they think that someone, you know, with a nice-ish house and a car parked in the drive must be worth about £20 million, as you quite rightly say. You know, where I live in Hampstead in North London, you know, lots of extremely expensive properties, but a lot of them are lived in by kind of teachers, people who moved there in the 1960s when it wasn't a particularly...
Even people who bought council houses.
These are people that they barely have a pot to piddle in, but they live in these houses that are worth a lot of money. And they're going to get seriously punished by these taxes that they won't be able to afford. So, you know, it is classic sort of old-school class war, isn't it?
It's total class warfare. I mean, all of the stuff about moving people moving migrants into middle-class areas and saying that everyone needs to take their fair share as if this is some force of nature that we can't avoid. Yeah, I think it's absolutely wrong that the poorest in British society have had to bear the brunt of not only illegal migration, but of mass migration for such a long time. But what the government is doing there is just weaponising mass migration in their class warfare. And the other thing is that like you were saying about people who live in areas like Hampstead, but also people who live out in more affluent parts of the countryside, some of those houses will be family homes. And we've talked a lot in the past about the farmers' tax, but a lot of them will be farmhouses that have come to be worth a lot of money. And this government obviously are very keen on inheritance tax. They want to tax people as much as possible to sort of destroy the intergenerational links. But it's a good thing if people's families stay in the same house for a long time because it makes them rooted.
Yeah, exactly. Well done, Emma. Back in a minute. Simon Danjik, stay where you are.
It is therefore my honour to declare that the duly elected leader of the Labour Party is Andy Burnham.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks so much. I believe in all of you, and I am confident we can do it. Thank you very much. I have just come from Buckingham Palace, where I have accepted His Majesty the King's invitation to form a government. I know people at home are fed up with politics. I hear you, and I want to be honest with you. We have not been good enough, and we need to be better. We will be.
This man has no mandate whatsoever. He didn't stand on the 2024 general election manifesto. You cannot make the biggest change in British politics in 40 years without a mandate from the British people, and it will be only decent, right and proper to call a general election on that issue and to do it now.
Our fifth Prime Minister in 4 years. Blimey. And, well, look, we want him to succeed. But will this one be any different? Andy Burnham, the new head honcho, the speed this all happened, I know this is a well-trodden debate already, is actually breathtaking. 1 minute he was Mayor of Greater Manchester. What, a month and a bit ago he wasn't even an MP. The next he's holding keys to number 10 without the country ever really having a chance to scrutinise him in a prospective prime ministerial nothing at all. We really know very little.
I think Burnham has to walk a fine line. I think that's probably what's going on, because if he were to sweep into Downing Street and say, I'm going to change everything, I'm going to fix everything, I'm going to do things completely differently to Starmer, then people would say, hold on, mate, we need a general election in that case, because no one voted for that. No one voted for you to be Prime Minister. You weren't standing in the 2024 general election. We've never seen your manifesto. Who the hell are you? That's what people would be asking.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Here's a voice note. This is from Hev, and it's on Harry and Meghan. Take it away, Hev.
Morning, Kev and Emma. Lovely to see you all this morning. This is Hev from Kent. Yeah, the gruesome twosome, they make me sick, to be quite honest. I'm just sick of the sight of them. I'm sick of hearing about them. I'm sure their own families feel pretty much the same way. And why should anybody but them pay for their security? They've got property. They might not have much cash, but they've got properties. Sell them. Sell one of them at least. I mean, you know, get rid of the Portugal one. Sell that and pay for it your bloody self. I'm sick and tired of these two. I'm sick of them just scrounging gifts, basically. Anyway, good morning. Have a lovely day.
Hi, Hev. Yeah, exactly right. I think you are speaking for the nation there. Exactly right. I mean, yeah, sell the place in California, sell the place in Portugal, whatever. But you know what? they need security, but we don't need to pay for it. Why on earth should we pay for it? What are they doing? You got Emily Thornberry saying, oh, you know, the safety of the family. Yeah, the safety of the family is important. It's not the same as us having to pay for it. You know, the safety of Hollywood celebrities, people like Tom Cruise and that, when they come to Britain, they need security. All very famous people do. We don't have to pay for it, nor would Tom Cruise and the gang expect us to pay for it. So why on earth should we pay for Harry and Meghan's security? £5 million a year. As Hev just said, you know, whether or not they've got much money, it's not the point. They'll have to find it. They'll have to get Harry's dad to pay for it. We're not going to pay for it, because if they try to make us pay for it, despite what Emily Thornberry thinks, there will be hell to pay. You know, people are struggling. Why should we pay for their security? Come on, it's ridiculous. Let's go to the phone, shall we? Let's speak to David in Aberdeen. Hi, David.
Hi, Kev. How are you doing?
I'm all right. Yeah, MP's freebies. What do you rank of it?
Yeah, right. I think the young lady is Emma.
Yeah, Emma Trimble. Yeah.
Right. I hope she's listening. Right. She was sort of defending them.
Yeah. I wasn't on her side there, David. I don't think you were either.
Well, why don't these MPs or so-called whoever they are look around and the people that voted them in are maybe seriously ill in a hospice or something, the local, right, or whatever, and say, look, I got offered these tickets. I shouldn't have these. Let's donate them to people who really deserve. Maybe want to go and see Harry Styles or whatever. You know, why should they take them and go? Can't they understand about the people that probably voted them into that place? But no, what they do, they take them, take, and give to people who probably deserve it, you know, the last days of their life. Why not donate them? Why do you keep them? And these corporates that do go and give it to, like, MPs, there's only one reason.
Yeah. My basic point, David, as I was trying to say to Emma, is this. For example, Louise Haigh, you know, convicted fraudster.
Yeah.
She accepted a £1,314 ticket to the Ivor Novello Awards. I don't know why she would have to be there. So why doesn't she pay for her own ticket? Now listen to this one. You know, Emma's trying to say, well, if it's MP's duties, MPs should be seen places. Heidi Alexander, Transport Secretary, accepted a £1,480 worth of tickets to the men's Wimbledon singles final while in her cabinet job. Why does, in any way, a cabinet secretary have to go to the men's singles final at Wimbledon? Great. If she enjoys that, great. Pay for your own tickets. Why did she get a free ticket?
Exactly. Why? Because they're influential, aren't they, these people? It's
just because they're scroungers. They got their snouts in the trough. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, exactly. And the corruption goes on and on.
It's corrupt.
And on.
It's obviously corrupt. There's no such thing as a free lunch, David. When an MP takes a freebie, things will be expected in return. So we should stop all this.
That's true. And then the poor people, like I just said, for instance, of just somebody in a hospice would love, that was what they would love to go, whatever, the tennis. Why not donate it to them? No, they keep it and they go.
Of course they do.
Of course they do. Champagne lifestyle. Well, let somebody else have it that's paid into the system. Let them have a go.
Absolutely right, David. Really good call. Thank you very much for ringing. Have a good Sunday. David in Aberdeen making a very good point. Simon Danjett, former Labour MP, now Reform UK, is ready and waiting. Simon, welcome to the show.
Good to join you.
Always a pleasure. Well, we need to talk about Harry and Meghan. It transpires today that Harry has privately pleaded with Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood for armed police protection, funded by British taxpayers. And the Labour MPs, including Emily Thornberry, saying that, yes, taxpayers should fund their £5 million a year security bill now they're coming back to the States, the Sussexes. I don't think we should pay a penny for their security. They're not working royals. As a matter of fact, the working royals that get 24/7 armed police protection are the King, Queen Camilla, Prince of Wales William, Princess of Wales Catherine. That's it. Anne and Edward and Sophie Wessex, who work very, very hard, do not get automatic 24/7 armed police guards, and they work really hard, those people. So why on earth should it even be suggested that long-suffering, cash-strapped British taxpayers pay for these two security? It's outrageous.
There's no justification for the public purse picking up the bill for security for Harry and Meghan, is there? I mean, they are non-working royal. And I think they're quickly going to find that when they do return to the United Kingdom, they are more unpopular than they realise. And you're exactly right. There's no justification for it. They're talking about £5 million a year for this.
Yeah.
And it's a bit rich from Dame Emily Thornberry to be suggesting, she's a Labour MP, remember, and she suggests that they should get it, not least because of Harry's heroism. Well, there's lots of people who served in the military in the United Kingdom who aren't getting this sort of support, who could well do with it. But it is ironic that you've got Labour MPs arguing in favour of the royal family getting more protection. I mean, you couldn't make it up.
Do you know why, though, don't you? It's because Harry and Meghan are left-wing and they don't like Donald Trump. So Labour want to pay for their security because they see Harry and Meghan as kindred spirits. That's what this is all about. But the people of Britain, as proved in the Daily or the Mail on Sunday today, they're not going to have this. I mean, this isn't quite on money, but it proves the kind of feeling, the strength of feeling against these couple. This is a big poll saying that only 4% of Brits say that William should make the first move in any peace talks between William and Harry, you know, to bring peace back to the royal family. Well, you know this, Simon, you know, people like you and me actually, you know, have a bit of an antenna. We occasionally speak to normal people about what they're feeling. And what people are feeling about this couple is they don't want peace in the royal family. They don't want the king to offer olive branches. They don't want William and Catherine to forgive and forget, because we too, this pair of ingrates, this pair of grifters who went over to California, first thing they did was start giving interviews calling the royal family racist, and by the way, calling everybody in Britain a racist slave driver. So after that, we're not going to pay for them, and we don't want the king. We don't really want peace in the royal family. We want the king and William to tell this pair where to get off.
You're absolutely right. And on your point that Labour politicians are supporting Harry and Meghan in terms of security, it is exactly because of this woke agenda, because they're on the same page politically. And I was posting about this on social media earlier in the week. You'll have noticed that Andy Burnham, our new unelected Prime Minister, said it was a private matter. Well, let me tell listeners, that is an indication that they are going to fund it. I can see this coming down the line. But why? The only reason that Labour are backing these two woke wastrels is because they share the same policy. That's the only reason. The previous Conservative government wouldn't have any truck with it, to the point where Harry took the Home Office to court and lost. On
and then appealed, Simon. Then appealed and lost again.
Absolutely, and that's just around 12 months ago. So there's no justification for it, I have to say. But I think the Labour government are going to make an intervention in their favour, spending even more of British taxpayers' money on these two non-royals.
Well, if they do, I think there'll be hell to pay. The people of this country won't put up with it. So far, I don't think the king is handling this at all well. I don't think he's ever been got his head round the level of the antipathy that the people of this country feel towards Harry and Meghan. And I think the King's got to raise his game and get this right, get the mood of the people right, because if he gets it wrong, it could be an existential problem for the royal family. These are very tense times for our monarchy.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think it's a misjudgment in terms of King Charles. There is this Royal and VIP Executive Committee that makes decisions around security for people like Harry, but also for former prime ministers. And the budget for that is being stretched. But I suspect that Harry and Meghan's decision to say that they are coming back to the UK is to try and put pressure on that committee to reach a conclusion where they do support the security. So they're playing games with this, which, again, the British public will not appreciate.
And what do you think generally, Simon, is the reason? Do you think it's money? I mean, I think there's something. The Mail pointed this out yesterday, and I totally agree. The Mail did a big spread saying there's something about this, Meg back as they're calling it, these two coming back. There's something we don't know. There's always something with this too. There's always some hidden ulterior motive. So there's something in this saga that we have yet to learn, because so far I don't think anybody has put forward what sounds like a completely plausible reason for them coming back. It's all very well to say, oh, they're a bit hard up. Well, that could well be it. Her coming back because she's got a role in a so-so TV drama, Series 3, The Gentleman. That's not the bloody reason, is it? We know that. So I wonder what it is.
I think Harry and Meghan are coming back to spend more time with King Charles's money.
Exactly.
I do
exactly
think
right. Yeah, that's what I reckon, Simon. I reckon it's pretty blatant that Harry is going to go to his dad and say, Dad, I need you to bail me out. I need some help. I think it's as simple as that.
Yeah, so do I. And the idea that she's getting £1 million for this acting part. I mean, they're going to find how unpopular they are when they arrive back in Britain. You know, that book that Harry brought out, Spare, and everything that was in that was just appalling. People don't forget, do they? The British people have long memories, and
yeah, and so in that book there were some awful stories, awful invasions of the royal family's privacy, particularly Harry and William and Catherine. Plus, that when they made this TV series for Netflix called Harry and Meghan, imaginatively, in that series they actually they did interviews in which all of Britain, all of us were accused of being racist slave drivers, and the royal family in particular were accused of being a family of racists, and all that nonsense about, you know, speculation about what colour the baby would be in the interview with Oprah. All of this, William and Catherine don't want to forget, and the people of Britain are thrilled that William and Catherine are going to stand up to this, because the people of this country don't want to forgive and forget, and the King better get that on board.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a really interesting point, I think. They left when wokeism was at its highest, but they're going to return when it's on its way out, isn't it? The whole woke agenda, which people like Emily Thornberry and Andy Burnham try to cling on to, is coming to an end. That's the reality of it. It's been found out, hasn't it? People don't buy into this anymore. Calling somebody a racist when they aren't just doesn't cut the mustard. So they're coming back at a time when that agenda has moved on, I'm pleased to say. The whole Black Lives Matter agenda and everything around it, all that stuff is really going out the window. And so they're going to come back with their agenda thinking it's still applicable. Well, I'm sorry to tell them, it's not.
No, Simon. Well, listen, well said. Stay where you are. We're going to go to break now, and you'll be with us when we come back. So, Simon Danczuk still with me after these messages. See you on the other side. See you in a minute. You doom-mongers, you're just killjoys, aren't you?
That's just silly, isn't it? I'm not a doom monger. I'm a fact monger.
Yeah? Well, why can't people just enjoy the summer?
And 1,000 people are dead. And 20 people have lost their homes.
No, well, that's bad.
And
I agree with that.
Now I'm going to stretch me on breaking
But your facts, you can't say 1,000 people have died because of climate change. That's right.
Well,
you laugh
in
a condescending way. You're making yourself look ridiculous. Don't blame me.
This is not a discussion. This is just a rant. Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Still with former Labour MP, now Reform UK's Simon Danjit. Simon, as you know, there's a sort of system, a circus that we have. One day, Nigel Farage says, I'll never do a deal with the Tories. Then the next day, Kemi Badenoch says, I'll never do a deal with Reform. And then the next day, Reform say, I'll never do a deal with the Tories, and so on and so forth. Ad infinitum, it continues. Well, today, Kemi Badenoch is saying that any idea of a Tory deal with Reform would be monstrous, and that Reform defectors, you know, the likes of Robert Jenrick, Suella Braverman, Danny Kruger, she says, are some of the most dishonest people I have met. Before I get your thoughts about this, I've got a voice note here from Liam. He says that the Tories and Reform need to bash their heads together. So this is what Liam had to say about it.
Morning, Kev. It's Liam in Folkestone. With regard to uniting the right, the Conservatives and Reform really need to bash their heads together and come to some sort of arrangement whereby Reform won't stand a candidate in a Conservative area and vice versa. Because if they do start running against each other, it's only going to give the left a great opportunity to give us another 5 more years of hell. Anyway, mate, great to see you on a Sunday. Cheers.
Well, Simon, it's a very nice thought from Liam, but it's not going to happen, is it? I mean, the idea, given what we're hearing day in, day out from both leaders, the idea of even Reform and the Tories doing a tacit arrangement of, well, you don't stand in this constituency, will stand there. That's not going to happen. And as things stand, they continue to fight like rats in a sack, as they all both do with Restore Britain. So the right, the forces of the right, are basically a dysfunctional, squabbling shambles, aren't they, in terms of ever forming a peace pact?
Well, it's interesting to observe that Kemi's comments attacking Reform defectors like Jenrick and Braverman were made at the Edinburgh Festival, where comedians go to try and be funny. Well, Kemi's comments are hilarious. I mean, the idea that Reform have infighting is nothing compared to what we've seen amongst the Conservatives in recent years. Regarding a pact, I don't think, just my view, is that I doubt we'll see any sort of coming together before a general election. And that will be fought on each individual party's terms. But it's also worth pointing out that Kemi's party is well behind in the opinion polls. I think they're on 18%.
Yeah.
And it's still a very toxic party, not least because it completely failed Britain on immigration, on benefit sheets, on a whole policing, on a whole range of different issues. She's got a real challenge. I'd be surprised if she's actually the leader going into the next general election.
Well, she's done a good job personally, but, people, you ask anyone about the Tories, they just go Kemi Badenoch. Name me another Tory. Hardly anyone can. there's their problem. And as you say, the polls reveal they're not doing at all well, and their performance in recent by-elections, albeit fair enough in areas where you wouldn't expect the Tories to do well, but nevertheless their performance has been, you know, frightening, you know, kind of existentially dreadful. So I think they're in a lot of trouble, despite the fact that she does a reasonable job. Let me ask you about this, Simon. We were dealing with this a lot last week. Extraordinary Times, there's this pamphlet, this, behavioural pamphlet for asylum seekers came out, you know, warning them that, look, just to let you know, now that you've broken into our country illegally, but you ought to know that if you rape a woman here, that's against the law. And if you rape a child, that too, you'll maybe surprised to learn is illegal. So try not to do that, because that's against our laws. And here's the killer for you. You can't beat your wife up either. That's against the law. So we've given them this pamphlet, which everybody's going, well, that's if you have to tell people raping a woman's against the law, then maybe don't let them into the country in the first place. Well, Andy Burnham, in response to that controversial pamphlet, said, well, you know, we've got to give this out because they've got to know that if they break our laws, you know, he said, we have a long entrenched system in this country that if foreigners break our laws, they are immediately deported. Where did he get that idea from? I mean, it's just absolute rubbish.
It's completely untrue, isn't it? This is an admission by a Labour government and by Andy Burnham that many of the people who come here illegally are committing crimes, and that's why they've had to put out this leaflet. But why aren't there other crimes on there? Perhaps it should mention that it's unacceptable to behead people in Britain. You know, perhaps it should list all the other serious sexual assaults that have been committed by illegal immigrants. I mean, it's not comprehensive enough in many respects. If this is the road we are going down.
But you're right, Simon. What it actually, you know, the Labour constitutionally, or these, you know, woke Labour MPs, cabinet secretaries as well, that in their mind, or the narrative that suits them, they like to portray the migrant crisis as women and children, babies coming across the channel escaping war and torture, along with scientists, doctors, engineers, great people of great talent, all coming across. That's how they like to depict it. But this pamphlet reveals that away from the public sphere, they know what the problem is. So suddenly you've got this pamphlet saying, don't rape people, don't rape children, don't beat your wife up, proving that our Labour government knows exactly what the problem is, not with all of these migrants, not with all of these asylum seekers, but with too many of them. Too many of them are liable to either be arrested for or convicted of sex crimes. Too many of them are liable to commit paedophile crimes, and too many of them are liable to physically attack women. That's our problem, and that pamphlet proved that Labour knows that. They know what the problem is.
That's exactly right, and I make this important point. I travel all around the world for business, into sub-Saharan Africa and different states there, into the Middle East, and you speak to people in those countries, and they will tell you they know the type of people who are coming from their countries into Britain, and they will point out, you are getting the people we don't want in our country. That's the reality of it. So we're ending up with people who are coming over on the boats who those countries are happy to get rid of. I mean, this is the reality of it. And it's Burnham's open borders agenda. It's this worldview that we should mix up Britain to what it was, so it's different to what it was before.
Yeah, and I think we're going to catch a cold. He's going to catch a cold. This attacking middle-class communities, plonking thousands of migrants onto middle-class rural communities. Definite class warfare, spiteful class warfare. Now, those communities are very good at galvanising themselves. They're talented people, and they are organising the mother of all fightbacks. And I think Andy Burnham is going to count the cost of attacking the middle classes using migrants as weapons. It's a despicable thing to do, but he's not going to get away with it, I don't think.
No, I don't think he is. And the Burnham bounce that we have seen, this little Burnham bounce in the opinion polls, I think will quickly be eradicated, not least because of his approach to this very issue. I think he's burying his head in the sand if he thinks he can convince middle-class communities to accept more illegal immigrants, trying to normalise the situation by educating the illegal immigrants about what they should and shouldn't do, by trying to educate the British public in terms of what they should and shouldn't have in their communities. It's not going to work, I can tell him that for nothing.
And also, I mean, don't they care? Doesn't this Labour government care that if you put a migrant camp with 1,250 young male asylum seekers, all of them young men, 1,250 of them, right next to a village like Piddington in Oxfordshire, 350 souls, 46 children. Doesn't Labour care that you just ruined that community? You just completely ruined it. You completely changed it. You made everybody in that community afraid. You made the childhoods of the 46 kids who live there completely different. Don't Labour care about that?
I don't think they do care. I think they believe in a bigger vision that involves really mixing up the population of Great Britain. I think they see some advantage in these people coming over and voting for them. I think they see some electoral advantage to swamping the country with the people that are coming over. So I think they have a bigger agenda. I don't think they care about the people, the local residents that are going to have to put up with this. And they often talk about protection of women and children. That's a bigger agenda item for Labour. But this contradicts completely, doesn't it? Because we know that many of these people commit horrific crimes. That's why they're having to produce the leaflets that we now see being produced by the Home Office.
Yeah, there's a disproportionate. I mean, it's very important to stress. The majority of these migrants who come over, although they're breaking our laws, they're breaking into the country illegally, they're not a threat to anybody's safety. But a minority of them are a disproportionate threat, particularly to women and children's safety. That's the problem. They are committing or being convicted of and arrested for a disproportionate amount of sex crimes. We know that, for example, Afghani nationals living in Britain are 22 times more likely to be arrested of or convicted of sex crimes, sex offences, than British nationals. So we are importing like a sex crime epidemic, putting women and children at risk. And again, the question is why doesn't Labour care about that?
Yeah, no, that is the question, isn't it? I think they see it as they have sort of a tolerance level in terms of what the British public can put up with. I think they're misjudging it, I have to say. But they obviously have this tolerance level that they think, we can get away with so much abuse and so many attacks and still, get enough people into the country. But they're in for a surprise. I really do believe that. I think electorally, I think they're going to be punished very severely on this very issue.
Yeah, busboy Burnham thinks if he stands in a bus garage and tells us he's going to bring bus fares down, that all will be well with the world. Well, I got a message for him. He doesn't seem to understand it. If you don't stop the boats, Burnham, you're finished. But he doesn't seem to care, does he, Simon? He doesn't seem to get that. They just decide what their priorities are, and they don't care what the people think.
Well, this is why Andy Burnham wasn't a good choice to replace Keir Starmer. There's no doubt about it, Starmer needed replacing. But the idea of bringing Burnham forward, and there were many of us that warned against it. I've known Andy Burnham 20 years. I mean, he's okay talking, as you point out, he's okay talking about buses and bus routes, etc. He's less good on talking about these really severe, significant issues like illegal immigration. And he's already beginning to be found wanting, and he's very indecisive. You know, he can't make a decision. We've seen that about the murderers of PC Harper. Are they going to remain in prison or aren't
we
they?
still don't know, do we? We still don't know. Yeah, but there's something sort of frighteningly parochial about him. I think he's been Prime Minister now for just over a month. I think probably in Starmer's first month, I'll never hear Keir, he'd probably been to about 18 different countries, traversed the earth 4 times, whereas Andy Burnham in his first month has been to Wolverhampton Bus Garage. That's it. There's something frighteningly parochial about this guy. As they say, he's like the mayor of Britain. He needs to raise his game, he really does. Simon, great to have you on. Thank you so much for getting up early on a Sunday morning for us. The brilliant Simon Danjit there, former Labour MP, now a Reform UK member. Next up, Pete Barnes, political strategist, will join me. We're going to talk about, among other things, there's a guy they call him the Asylum King. His name's Graham King. He's the first asylum seeker billionaire. He provides hotels and properties for migrants to live in. Well, he's just won another £76.7 million government contract to run an immigration centre in Gosport, Hampshire. I think it's a detention centre that's being revived. 600 people will live there. So Graham King just got £76 million richer, courtesy of our government and their ongoing failure to stop the boats, failure to solve the migrant crisis. It's an ill wind that blows nobody any good. Ask the Asylum King, Graham King, who's a billionaire, because this government has to keep handing people like him loads of money to find places to put the illegal migrants that the government keeps letting into the country. It's ridiculous. We'll talk about this next. Stay tuned.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Now, let's go over to my next guest. He is political strategist Peter Barnes. Pete Barnes. Hi, Pete.
Hi, Kev. How's it going? Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. I think that's the word for it. Yes, getting up at 3:30 in the morning. Is that a happy Sunday? I don't know. But I'm getting happier. I'm getting happier.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I feel a lot better than I did at the beginning of the show. So we're getting there. We're getting there. So thanks for joining us, Pete. Let's talk about Graham King. They call him the Asylum King. He's a billionaire on the back of contracts that he keeps getting from the government to house asylum seekers. He's personally responsible for accommodation for around 30,000 asylum seekers in sites across the south of England and Wales. He's now just picked up, well, he apparently earns on the back of the migrant crisis, there he is, old Graham, having the time of his life, £3.8 million every day out of the migrant crisis. He has now won another contract for £76.7 million to run the immigration centre. It's a removal centre. So this is a detention centre, a place called Haslar in Gosport in Hampshire, which will house 600 asylum seekers, failed asylum seekers, ready for them to be removed. Locals are up in arms. They say we haven't got the infrastructure. Gosport's a fairly deprived area, but this was an establishment that was closed down. It was there for 30 years. It was closed down in 2015. Guess what? They're opening it up again, because the migrant crisis just keeps on escalating. Bad news for the people of Gosport. More good news for the asylum king, Graham King. He just got £76 million richer. So this just proves we have a government that it's not doing anything to solve this crisis. It's just ploughing more and more money into maintaining the crisis, accommodating.
I think that's the perfect definition. The perfect definition. It's just maintaining the status quo and hoping everything doesn't fall apart like a cheap house of cards, because what started off as a kind of temporary measure, let's not forget that's what the hotels were. You know, that started off with an estimated 4.5 billion. We're now looking at 15.3 in about 4 or 5 years in terms of the expansion. That's an astounding amount of money. But these contracts themselves are pathetic. You mean the standards that they have to reach are just ridiculous. You know, there's no kind of real financial repercussions if the standards aren't met for the hotels or anything like that. You know, so this Graham King, he's absolutely rigging it. In a way, I don't blame him. You know, if you'd got the nous and been able to do it, take the money, because if the government's stupid enough to keep giving these contracts out, somebody's got to do it, because that's the key point, really. That, these centres have to be run by somebody, and it's just crazy. You're so right, Kevin, that they're just so inept and so incapable at dealing with this. And I think they're scared now. I think this has got so out of control that they're scared of just touching anything and the whole thing tumbling down. I really do.
I think you're right, and that's why Andy Burnham, he sort of feels if he sticks his fingers in his ears and goes la 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 la, that somehow or another the migrant crisis will go away. Well, as we know, more than 3,500 migrants have come into the country illegally across the Channel since he became Prime Minister. And, all they're announcing is more and more of these huge migrant camps around the country next to villages, rural areas, big campaigns to stop that. But it just proves that their only approach to this, turning round to us and saying, well, every community, everybody should bear their share of the responsibility, as in the middle classes as well as the working classes. Well, nobody should bear any responsibility for housing illegals who broke into our country unlawfully. None of us should bear any responsibility, but this is the government's approach. It is just to find new and interesting places to accommodate the increasing number, thousands and thousands every week, of young male migrants who break into our country illegally. No plans to stop it, no plans to solve it, no plans to stop the boats, just plans to find bigger places to put the increasing number of migrants that carry on breaking into our country. No ambition there whatsoever to solve the crisis that is the greatest source of concern to the people of this country. It's an abrogation of governmental duty, if you ask me.
I think it's criminal. It should be a criminal offence as far as I'm concerned. I mean, not to tackle this in any way, because everything you've just said there, Kevin, is spot on. Absolutely spot on, because you look at one of these centres, it was estimated to be 700 million. It's now cost the taxpayers so far £7 billion. This is not small change anymore. This is real money that could be put into education, the NHS. We could actually pay for a missile or two, or maybe a tank we could build. This is the choices that they're making. Government is about choices. And this government refuses to make any because it doesn't want to admit that, you know, their outlook on the world has been catastrophically wrong. I mean, the pamphlet that got released the other day was yet more proof of the actual effect this is having, because it's not just, you know, the issue of crime, it's the economics of an area. I look at Bournemouth. I think it was the south coast of England has lost about $3 billion in tourism revenue because of the migrant crisis. What's really happening is this crisis is acting as a black hole. Everything's getting sucked in. All the kind of aspects of government, all the focus, all the resources, everything is going into a problem that could be solved if they had the political will to do it. And that's the really big point.
Absolutely. And when you think about people like Graham King, he's not the only person making a fortune out of the migrant crisis. But to give you an idea of the kind of figures involved, so there is this proposal for the RAF base, the disused RAF base, right in the middle of the village of Linton-on-Ouse in North Yorkshire. They want to turn that into a migrant camp for 1,500 young male asylum seekers, which will make it instantly the biggest asylum seeker camp in all of Britain. That will cost £750,000 every single night, £500 per migrant per night, £750,000 a night for the taxpayer. So that's the crime of what our government's doing, just saying, all right, well, that's how much it's going to cost. Let's find another camp that will cost £750,000 a night. They should be coming up with the ways of not having to have these camps and saving us, you know, literally billions of pounds. It's a disgrace that they're not doing anything.
Yeah, like I said, it should be a criminal offence, but realistically, this government and successive ones really have become experts at moving the problem around the board. Well, the problem is of that, we're running out of squares. That's the big thing. You know, it's like snakes and ladders, and unfortunately, it's all ladders. This is the real problem, and, you know, we just can't seem to get out of this because the government is not acting. And also, the civil service, their ability to negotiate a contract is absolutely catastrophic. We go back to the business sense of this government. The fact nobody's been in private enterprise is very telling. When you look at these contracts, if you come from the corporate world, you wouldn't sign them. But like, if you know, it's just ridiculous in terms of you know, the actual clauses and what the government is giving away. Because, like I said, this was an emergency and temporary program, and like I said, now it's going to cost us about £15 billion. It's eye-watering amounts of money, and the problem of big numbers, as we call it, is 15 billion sounds like a lot, but to quantify it, you know, we're talking about, you know, budgets for high schools and you know, sixth form colleges and universities. That's what's being missed out here. Young people, you know, we're missing out on pension payments. All this kind of stuff is going to start disintegrating because the money is going into a problem that they're not solving. Exactly. And until we kick this lot out, it's not going to change. Yeah, they have to. All of them have to be got. All of them have to go.
Yeah, but it's going to take us a while to get rid of them, I'm afraid. But listen, very good to talk to you, Pete. Thank you very much. Pete Barnes, political strategist there. Let me know what you think. This guy, Graham King, all these people, he's become a billionaire because this government is handing out massive contracts to people like him in order to find places to house the migrants that they just keep letting break into this country. It's crazy. Let me know what you think. 03444991000. We're going to go to break next, and when we come back, we're going to talk to the former head of Royal Protection, former head of Police Royal Protection, Di Davis. We'll get his take on the security situation involving Harry and Meghan, how much it will cost, what it will entail, what exactly do you get for £5 million a year? Is it round-the-clock gun guards everywhere you go? I don't know. We'll find out from Di, and we'll find out what he thinks about whether or not we should pay this £5 million a year security bill for the gruesome twosome. You know what I think? Let me know what you think. I think absolutely not. In a month of Sundays should we, long-suffering British taxpayers, hand over a damn penny. They're not working. You know, they're coming back from America with their tails between their legs. Why should we pay for them? 03444991000. Di Davis next. Stay tuned. You doom-mongers, you're just killjoys, aren't you?
That's just silly, isn't it? I'm not a doom monger. I'm a fact monger.
Yeah? Well, why can't people just enjoy the summer?
And 1,000 people are dead. And 20 people have lost their homes.
No, well, that's bad.
And
I agree with that.
an army has stretched me on breaking
But your facts, you can't say 1,000 people have died because of climate change. That's right.
Well,
you
that's
laugh in a condescending way. You're making yourself look ridiculous. Don't blame me.
This is not a discussion. This is just a rant.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Let's go straight over to my next guest, former top cop, head of Royal Protection, Di Davis. Welcome, Di.
Good morning to you. Nice to be with you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Well, before we talk about the costs and who should pay, when we talk about security for the Sussexes, the Sussex family, they're coming over here, and like it or lump it, they will need security. Before we talk about who should pay for that, what would it entail? What is the business of protecting a family like that? How many people would you need? Would it be 24/7? What is the business? What does it entail protecting a family like the Sussexes?
Well, the first thing you do is look at where they're going to live, because clearly that's where they're going to spend a great deal of their time. So that has to be brought up to the proper level of security. And by that, I mean that if they are so much at risk or fear they're at risk, you would look at the whole outer circumference of the premises, the grounds. You would look internally at doors. You would look internally at creating a safe room, and so on and so forth. The technical side is arguably as expensive as the man or woman power that would have to be provided, because there's no point doing all of this if you don't have a response capability. So then you look at how many people do you require day and night to keep the premises safe. And again, depending on the risk assessment, that's how many you should have. Normally for just one post, you need 5 or 6 people or 5 or 6 officers. So once that's determined, you then have the personal protection that will be required if and when they go from A to B or take the children to school. It is a complex matter, which I would have thought takes months and months to prepare if you're going to do it properly and build an adequate system in order to provide the security that you require. So that's my view. This can't be done overnight is the key point. And again, it depends on the risk level that somebody with a degree of authority, knowledge and intelligence can actually put into place.
What's your personal feeling, Di, about the proposal, particularly today from Labour MPs like Emily Thornberry, that taxpayers should pick up this bill, which is expected to be around about £5 million a year? I think it's going to cause a lot of problems. I mean, as a British citizen, I don't mind picking up the security bill for the King and Camilla and William and Kate, because they work very, very hard for the royal family, for this country. That's fair enough. I don't see why on earth British taxpayers should pay the security bill for 2 people who are doing nothing for this country. They're not going to be doing royal duties. Why should we pay for it?
Well, I tend to agree with you. And since they moved to Canada, I have done numerous, I can't remember how many documentaries and talks saying, no, they shouldn't be protected by you and I. The truth is they have a perfectly adequate team, which they pay for, And I'm all for them having, if that's what they want, let them have the team of ex-police officers, ex-SAS, whoever they want, if they paranoia, and it is paranoia quite often in their case, as to the protection they need. I don't think, unless there is an absolute case now that there is such a risk in this country for them coming back, that somebody can demonstrably show that that risk, then I don't think you and I should be paying for it. No way or how, when we're going to do away with a triple lock for old pensioners like me, we're going to actually then pay for a multi-millionaire and indulge his fantasies and the fact, allegedly, he has failed or hasn't provided enough work for himself in the United States. I think it's absolute nonsense. But I'm not surprised that Thornbury and other highly paid MPs think the rest of us, because they seem to like the fact that we, the taxpayers, can provide not only them with some kind of security at our cost, but also this pair and their children. I've got nothing against their children, but no way, in my humble opinion, should we pay for their protection.
I think that's what the vast majority of people in this country think. I certainly agree with you. How would you assess the risk that they are at? As I say, this isn't about saying they don't deserve security, they don't need security. They do need security. It's about who should pay for it. You know, when a big Hollywood celebrity like Tom Cruise or something comes over, they need security. You wouldn't expect taxpayers, British taxpayers, to pay that security bill. So that's where we're at. How much risk will they be at, Di, when they're here?
Well, it's a good question, and frankly, you and I are not in a position to actually accurately assess that. The truth is, that's what RAVAC are there, and a subcommittee of that have actually been looking at. It's alleged that he's now bypassed RAVAC, and after all, RAVAC constitutes the Metropolitan Police, Cabinet Office, various government agents, Home Office, and presumably they are afforded the kind of intelligence that you'd expect, the same kind of intelligence that the King, Queen, Prince William gets. So you would hope that it is accurate. Clearly in this country, we have a very large Islamic threat. It's there. The threat level as a whole to the country is midway, if not bordering on high. So my point is that has to be carefully assessed. But the truth is, in this country, fortunately, very few royals in this century have actually been attacked, or even the children of royals going back hundreds of years. It is a rare commodity. Princess Anne was the last major attack in 1974 when Ian Ball tried to kidnap her for the National Health Service. He wanted 2 million. But since then, there have been very few attacks. Yes, Mountbatten was attacked by the IRA, and they were really active when I was doing the job, along with animal liberation fronts. So you've got to look at where the threat comes from and then apply the resources. But whether you need armed protection, 1, 2, possibly even more armed protection won't keep you alive if it's an assassin with a high-powered rifle, as we saw with the President of the United States. So you've got to balance what the threat is, where it's likely to come at you from, and then apply the appropriate resources. I say again, he doesn't normally need armed protection in this country. There isn't a precedent for it for somebody who is a non-working royal.
Absolutely. Di, really good to have you on the show. Thank you so much for your time. Di Davis there, former head of Royal Protection, Royal Security. Let's go to break. When we come back, Ben Habib, chairman of the Great British PAC, will join me to go through some of the big stories of the day. You don't want to miss that, so I will see you on the other side of the news. Stay exactly where you are.
It is therefore my honour to declare that the duly elected leader of the Labour Party is Andy Burnham.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks so much. I believe in all of you, and I am confident we can do it. Thank you very much. I have just come from Buckingham Palace, where I have accepted His Majesty the King's invitation to form a government. I know people at home are fed up with politics. I hear you, and I want to be honest with you. We have not been good enough, and we need to be better. We will be.
This man has no mandate whatsoever. He didn't stand on the 2024 general election manifesto. You cannot make the biggest change in British politics in 40 years without a mandate from the British people, and it will be only decent, right and proper to call a general election on that issue and to do it now.
Our fifth Prime Minister in 4 years. Blimey. And, well, look, we want him to succeed. But will this one be any different? Andy Burnham, the new head honcho, the speed this all happened, I know this is a well-trodden debate already, is actually breathtaking. 1 minute he was Mayor of Greater Manchester. What, a month and a bit ago he wasn't even an MP. The next he's holding keys to number 10 without the country ever really having a chance to scrutinise him in a prospective prime ministerial nothing at all. We really know very little.
I think Burnham has to walk a fine line. I think that's probably what's going on, because if he were to sweep into Downing Street and say, I'm going to change everything, I'm going to fix everything, I'm going to do things completely differently to Starmer, then people would say, hold on, mate, we need a general election in that case, because no one voted for that. No one voted for you to be Prime Minister. You weren't standing in the 2024 general election. We've never seen your manifesto. Who the hell are you? That's what people would be asking.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Let's go straight over to my next guest. He's chairman of the Great British PAC, Ben Habib. Welcome, Ben.
Good morning, Kevin.
Good to have you on the show. Let me get your take on the Harry and Meghan saga. I think, you know, I guess it's a private matter. They can come back if they like. But what I think is a problem.
That wasn't me.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was a bit confused there. I thought, has Ben not shaved this morning? I thought, no. No, good to have you now back on the screen. But I think the important issue here is there is this suggestion, particularly by Emily Thornberry this morning, that taxpayers, British taxpayers, should foot the bill, the £5 million a year bill for Harry, Meghan and their kids' security. They're not working royals. They're not going to be allowed to be working royals when they're back here. I would suggest under no circumstances should taxpayers put up with the very notion that we should pay for their security. They might
100%.
need security, but it's not our responsibility, is it?
Absolutely. They gave up their royal duties. They left the country. They decided to turn their back on the royal family and indeed the country when they left. And it's obviously their prerogative to come back to the UK if they wish to. But why should the UK taxpayer pick up the burden of making sure their security is paid for? Absolutely not. They have to live just like any other citizen.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why the Labour Party or the Labour lefties are beginning to suggest that we should pay for them is because Harry and Meghan are kindred spirits. You know, they're woke, they're left-wing, they hate Donald Trump. So you have this odd position where our extremely left-wing socialist government is gathering around these two scions of wealth and privilege, the royals from California. A bit strange, but that's what we're talking about. The lefties love these two, just like the Democrats love them in America. Labour loves them here because they're kindred spirits. They're lefties and they're woke.
Well, it just shouldn't happen. It's completely wrong. And if the Labour government is serious about cutting costs, it wouldn't even entertain this idea. It's entirely of their free will that they're coming back. They're not being invited back. to do anything specific for the British state. The state's not responsible for them.
What's your take on why? What's your personal view on why they're coming back? Because there's something we don't know here. I think there's an element that nobody knows yet. Although Ben had a very, very interesting discussion. He was on my show on Friday. I don't know if you've ever come across Niall Gardner. He's the chief executive for the Heritage Foundation in Washington, the sort of Thatcherite think
very
tank.
clear thinker.
And the Heritage Foundation have been running a long-running campaign to make Harry's visa application transparent, that the American people should be allowed to see whether or not this guy told the truth about his drug consumption on his visa application to live in America 6 years ago, because subsequent to filling that form out, he wrote his spiteful little book Spare, in which he said he was a very keen, smoker of dope and a muncher of mushrooms and all that. So the Heritage Foundation said, well, did he admit to his drug use when he filled the visa form out? We should be told. Well, apparently, Niall told me on Friday that the American State Department is pretty close to saying, yes, the Heritage Foundation are right, the American people should see this. So it is possible that Harry's alleged potential lies on his visa form are about to be exposed, and Niall said that he believes that's one of the reasons they've come hot-footing it back to Britain. He's about to be chucked out of the States.
That's just to be deported from the US. That's quite a fall. But of course, this issue has been bubbling along ever since the book was published. I remember it raised its head back then.
Yeah.
Did he disclose this when he got his right to live in the United States? But what he ought to do, being the lefty that he is fly to France, get in the dinghy, and then come across the Channel to the United Kingdom, and he'd be welcomed with open arms, and he'd be put in a 4-star hotel with Meghan, and they could live happily ever after.
Yeah, we've got this migrant crisis going on the South Coast. Now they're coming across from America as well. Got these two migrants, Harry and Meghan. Now that really, really is a crisis. But seriously, Ben, I mean, I don't know what your feeling is about the royal family, but a lot of people think they're very important to the cultural backbone of this country. And I think that this pair of ingrates, Harry and Meghan, have plunged the royal family into an existential crisis. So far, I don't think the king is handling it well, but he better get it right, because this could be very bad news for the royal family if the king doesn't judge the mood of the nation right. We don't want the king to forgive and forget these two. We don't want William and Catherine to forgive and forget. We want them to be taught a lesson for calling us all slave-driving racists.
Yeah, I mean, and they accuse members of the royal family, I think, of having
being racist.
Being racist. And they sow division wherever they go. They're not good ambassadors for the United Kingdom. Sadly, I'm afraid that the royal family, as important as the institution is, hasn't covered itself in glory over the last few years. Really, the best thing the royal family could do, including King Charles, is be as quiet as possible. But they can't seem to help themselves. Perhaps it's this new world of social media that gives them a voice. Every time they have a bad thought, they can air it. But, the king, for example, seems not to understand that he is the defender of the faith, the head of the English church. He champions multi-faith position.
He wants to be king of all the faiths, doesn't he?
Of all the faiths. And, if you, as the head of the church, turn your back on the church, we've got a real problem. He's also pro-net zero, which is as daft as brushes. He's always interfering in, policy making, expressing his views, almost always, as you say, like his son, to the left of British politics, not pro the United Kingdom. He went to the European Union and he talked about getting rid of borders. I mean, how can the king of our country talk about removing our borders? Without borders, he is a king of nothing. So whilst I love the institution of the royal family, and I think this institution is worth protecting, we've got a spate of bad uns in it. And of course, we've got Prince Andrew too. We haven't talked about him. He's caused a massive problem for the royal family in the way that it's beheld. the job, when it falls to Prince William, is going to be a very, very challenging one. And the indications of Prince William are not brilliant either. He seems to be hijacked by globalism.
Oh,
and net
he's
zero.
he's a greenie as well. I mean, both the King and Prince William seem to have decided that well-worn diktat that the royals don't get involved in politics. Both the King and William seem to have decided it's okay for us to get involved in politics as long as it's eco-politics. So they're extremely political when it comes to green issues. And you know, I always ask myself about the King. I mean, he seems like a nice enough guy, bit of a softy and all that, but a nice enough guy. But if he was a private citizen right now, in terms of his vote, he'd be torn, wouldn't he, Ben, between whether or not to vote for the Lib Dems or the Greens. That's our King for you.
That's where he's not even Labour. You're right. He's gone over to the Lib Dem side of the political spectrum, which really means you're not thinking straight.
You're absolutely right. Well, let's move on to politics generally. Interesting revelations from Kemi Badenoch today. She's saying that, you know, as I said earlier in the show, seems to be a sort of one day the Tories say, we won't do a deal with Reform, and then the next day Reform say, we won't do a deal with the Tories, and it sort of alternates. Well, it's Kemi's turn today, and she says that a deal with Reform would be monstrous. And she says that Reform's defectors, as in Robert Jenrick, Suella Braverman, Danny Kruger and the others, are, and I'm quoting her now, some of the most dishonest people I have met. So the idea of a pact between Reform and the Tories seems further away than ever.
Yeah, I know. I mean, all this talk about pact, frankly, it's way too early to talk about any form of pact. There's still a number of years to go for the general election, and I don't think Burnham's calling a general election this autumn, as many people do. He would not give up a 156-seat majority in order to risk a hung parliament. Turkeys don't vote for Christmas. So it's way too early to talk about a pact. But also, Kemi Badenoch must be looking at Reform and looking at the trouble that it's now in. You know, it's obviously been all over the place on policy. 1 minute supporting the removal of the two-child benefit cap, the next minute wanting to cut back the welfare state, 1 minute saying illegal migrants can't all be deported, the next minute making it central to their policy making. Reform is kind of oscillated all over the place. And now it's infected itself with these failed Tories. I wouldn't put Suella Braverman and Jenrick, frankly, at the top of the list, even though she presided over the biggest influx of immigrants to this country that we've ever experienced. At least she spoke the right things at the time. But people like Nadine Zahawi, Jake Berry, Nadine Dorries, all these kind of former Johnsonian, lefty, wet Tories, they shouldn't be anywhere near Reform. So Reform has major issues from a political, philosophical perspective. But then, of course, we also know about all the financial scandals that are now dogging it. If I were Kemi, I would be saying exactly what she's saying, knowing that these scandals are going to dog Reform for the next 2 or 3 years. And she's going to watch its support base dwindle, and she may not need to do anything of any description because Reform may just go back to being UKIP Mark II.
Tim Montgomery, former Tory, who defected a couple of years ago to Reform and has been a activist behind the scenes for Nigel Farage. In fact, he was very instrumental in persuading Robert Jenrick over. Well, Tim has now been suspended, frankly, for saying, well, two things. One, that he thinks Nigel Farage has a woman problem. He's not very good at dealing with female journalists. I think that's probably a little unfair, to be honest with you. But he says that the big problem that Reform UK have is, frankly, Zia Youssef, who's becoming too much of a loose cannon. He said all of this and then was suspended. He said Zia Youssef behaves like a child. He was suspended. Do you think it's a good look to suspend Tim Montgomery under these circumstances?
No, I don't think it's a good look at all. Tim, just to put it into context, Tim wasn't a spokesman for the party. He wasn't in the party hierarchy. He's not a paid official in the party. He's just a member. And you can't suspend members just because they express views with which you disagree. That can't be sensible. And I mean, the ultimate breaking point for me when I resigned from Reform was that I was banned from speaking to other Reform people, which was extraordinary. They have a problem with free speech and criticism. So, funny enough, when the £5 million scandal about Farage broke, I was on Channel 4 with Tim, and he was robustly defending Farage on the issue. And I said to him afterwards, I said, Tim, I don't think you're really appreciating the depths of the problem the party's got. But without wishing to, I'm not, in no way am I gloating in any way whatsoever, but I did text him the other day, and we had a nice exchange of texts, which I said, well, I kind of told you so, Tim. There are fundamental issues that need addressing in this party.
Yeah, I think interesting times for Reform as they stagger towards their conference. Make or break, I think, that conference will be, but they do need to kind of sort themselves out, I think, a little bit. Quick word from you, if you don't mind, Ben, about our Prime Minister, old busboy Burnham. There's an increasing feeling about this government that they are waging spiteful class warfare. This proposal, we're going to put massive migrant camps in the middle of middle-class rural communities. And this morning we're learning that he's going to send out these kind of sinister mansion tax police inspectors. Sinister inspectors who will have the right to burst into your house and assess whether or not it's worth £2 million or more, then you'll be liable for the mansion tax. It is beginning to seem more and more like, this is a government intent on waging war against the middle classes.
Absolutely, and to the great detriment of their own popularity and this country, because the middle classes are basically the swing voters. They're the ones who are going to either vote Labour or Tory or Reform, if Reform still exists in 2029. And so he's making a fundamental mistake by doing what he's doing. And this Burnham bounce that he seems to be experiencing, I don't think is going to last beyond the next budget, because people are going to start seeing through this cuddly teddy bear image that he portrays and see the real Burnham behind it, which you're already seeing other people who are closer to the political machinery, as it were, are seeing, that this guy is an old-fashioned class warrior out to damage the middle and what he might regard as the upper classes, the actual people. 2% of this income tax-paying population, the richest 2% pay 40% of our taxes. Those are the people he's attacking. And they've already left the country in droves. He's going to bring the country into real financial difficulty, and his Burnham bounce is going to turn into a Burnham burn, and we're going to see the Labour Party fall back to where it should be. I think that this whole flirtation with Burnham, by the way, is overdone. He's not going to make the distance. He's going to fail, and he's going to fail sooner than we think.
Yeah, I think there's already a bit of a backlash. The Burnham bounce is flattening out, to say the least. It just doesn't seem there is very much to this guy. They call him the Mayor of Britain. He's never happy unless he's standing in a bus garage talking about bus fares. As I said, he's been Prime Minister now for a month. After a month of Starmer had been round the world 3 times to about 46 different countries. After a month of Burnham, he's been to Wolverhampton bus garage. He is the Mayor of Britain. He's frighteningly parochial, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he is. He spent the last how many years in Manchester, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And his big sort of signature reform for the country, which he thinks is going to sort us out, is devolving more power to mayoralties who do 2 halves of nothing. And he's without ideas. He just wishes to portray this cuddly teddy bear image, and that can only go so far. After that, it all turns on policy, and his policies are going to be deeply damaging to the country.
Couldn't agree with you more. Ben, fantastic to have you on the show. Thank you so much. The brilliant Ben Habib there, chairman of the Great British PAC. We're going to take your calls after the break, and I'll read some messages out. But get on the phone, give me a call, 03444991000. Should we pay for Harry and Meghan's £5 million a year security bill? Should British taxpayers pay that? Why do Labour seem to think, why does Emily Thornberry seem to think that we should pay for that bill? Let me know what you think. What do you think about the ongoing class war being waged by this government on the middle classes, plonking thousands and thousands of migrants, massive migrant camps in the middle of middle-class rural communities? And now we're learning they're going to send out their sinister property inspection squads, mansion tax police, to assess whether or not your house is worth £2 million or more. And if it is, they're going to charge you the mansion tax. And if you say no, you can't come in, you'll get fined £200. Welcome to North Korea. Oh no, it's Britain. What do you think? 0344 499 1000. Next up, we're going to, as I say, we're going to take your calls and I'll read some of your messages. So get on the blower. Let's talk. It's good to talk on Talk. Back in a mo. You doommongers, you're just killjoys, aren't you?
That's just silly, isn't it? I'm not a doom-monger. I'm a fact-monger.
Yeah? Well, why can't people just enjoy the summer?
And 1,000 people are dead. And 20 people have lost their homes.
No, well, that's bad.
And
I agree with that.
And army has stretched me on breaking point.
But your facts, you can't say 1,000 people have died because of climate change. That's right. Well, you laugh in a condescending way. You're making yourself look ridiculous. Don't blame me.
This is not a discussion. This is just a rant.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Take your calls in just a second. First of all, I've got a lot of voice notes, but here's one from Dallas, and it is on Harry and Meghan.
Good morning, Kevin. You're up bright and early this morning. This is Dallas in Botswana. If Harry and Meghan were really concerned about coming back to the UK because King Charles is getting older and might be not in poor health, why don't they jump on a plane with the kids and go to the Philippines? Meghan's father is far, far more ill than King Charles, it would appear. But he's been left out in the cold. I think it's awful the way they have treated him. He's still never met his son-in-law, never mind his grandchildren. Shouldn't he be the first concern? He practically, as I understand it, he practically raised Meghan single-handedly when her mother took off to do whatever it was she went off to do. So when she was younger, she only had her father, but she's treated him abysmally. Anyway, that was just a thought that that might cheer him up no end. But he'll probably die without ever seeing them. Enjoy the rest of the day, and I'll enjoy the rest of the show. Bye.
Thank you, Dallas. Really good voice note. And it's a good point. I mean, this couple are enveloped in waves of weirdness. You know, the fact that Harry has never met his father-in-law, never met Thomas Markle. The royal family, the king, has never met Meghan's family. It's all very, very weird, and you're right. Let's see what happens with those two, but it's all very, very strange. Let me know what you think. 03444991000. Let's go to the phones. Let's talk to Chris in Oxford. Hi, Chris. You want to talk about migrants. What would you like to say?
Yeah, good morning, Kevin. I keep wondering who the hell is Mr. Burnham. I refuse to call him Prime Minister because he's never been elected by us. He's talking about putting them all over the country. This is going to put an enormous strain on police officers having to attend various incidents involving them. How many people have got to be assaulted, murdered, before this Labour government, and Burnham especially, gets it?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is about putting a lot of pressure on the police, Chris, is it will overwhelm them. If you say, for example, I guess probably not far from where you live, Piddington, you know, in Oxfordshire, the village of 350 people, 46 children, it's going to get this camp right next door with 1,250 young male migrants. Well, the police can't handle that. You just have to hope that they'll be reasonably well behaved. But if they're not, it's an uncontrollable situation. That is the nature of what's happening to this country. We'll be given situations that are unpoliceable. It's extraordinary.
The police have got a job handling internal of our own people.
Yeah.
Let it the migrants. I mean, in Oxford, you've got one or two of them wandering around, doing nothing, no job, and harassing people.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's a situation all over the country. Where there are migrants, there tends to be trouble. I always want to point out, you know, we're not trying to sort of demonise every single migrant. The vast majority of them are no problem, but there is a minority that cause problems. There is a minority that commit a disproportionate number of crimes, particularly sex crimes. The police can't deal with that because there's too many of them.
What they need to do is when they come aboard on the boats and they arrive on the beaches of the UK, which it puts people off going to the beach because it's horrible. What they need to do is put them on a bus, welcome to the UK, take the bus straight to the airport and stick them on a plane back to France. It's as simple as that.
Well, we certainly have to send them a message that crossing the channel illegally on an unlawful small boat will not allow you to stay in this country. But at the moment, the message is you get across the channel, you're here. We put you in a 4-star hotel. We give you £50 a week benefits. We give you free doctors, free dentists, free lawyers, free driving lessons, and so on and so forth. So that's why they keep coming.
They pay for it with reducing our pension.
Exactly. No, it's costing us a fortune. It's bankrupting the country. It's ridiculous, Chris. It really is. Listen, really good call. I've got to move on, though, mate. Thank you. Good to talk. Chris in Oxford. Let's talk to Michael in London. You think the King should pay for Harry's security, Michael?
Yes, I do. I think... Good morning.
Morning.
I think the King makes a fortune from all his crown estates.
Oh, he's a hugely wealthy man and he could afford it. And I agree with you, Michael. He should. Well, if Harry can't afford his own security bill, his dad should pay for it.
Yes, I think so too. I think his dad has the responsibility for his own son and not as the taxpayer, apart from what we pay to the crown estates, which he makes a fortune from.
Yeah, no, he's a very wealthy man and he should pay it, or someone should pay it. The point is, Michael, you, me, British taxpayers, you know, everybody's having a hard enough time as it is, you know, cost of living crisis. These are difficult times. The idea that our tax dollars should be taken to pay for this guy's, this privileged royal prince's security is outrageous, I think.
Yes, me too. I think it should be kept within the family.
Yep, exactly right. We should not be burned with that bill. With you all the way, Michael. Very good call. Thank you for ringing. Michael in London there. Let's read a few of the messages here. This is from... there's no name on that one. So this is from Sue in Northumberland. She says, if Kemi, Rupert and the rest of the right do not stop talking each other down, they're going to talk us into the end of the UK altogether. Just stop it. Well, Sue, I wish, but that's what the right do. They just squabble with each other, and this squabbling is getting worse and worse. Linda suggested, she's from Stalybridge, she suggested that perhaps we should send Harry and Meghan to Rwanda. Process them there. Good idea, Linda, very good idea. This is from Joe. She says, giving out leaflets about not raping women and children, then free tickets to theme parks full of children and young people is crazy. No common sense at all, this government. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Joe. Taff in Dover says, if I've got this right, the government is issuing leaflets to illegal immigrants telling them not to harass or rape women and girls, whilst also issuing to them free tickets to swimming pools where there are women and girls in bathing suits. Yup. Similar point there from Taff in Dover. Sean says the pamphlet, we're talking about this behavioural pamphlet, don't rape women, don't rape children, don't hit your wife, this pamphlet being handed out to migrants now when they arrive in this country. This is from Sean. This pamphlet is in a language most of them don't speak, and many of them wouldn't be able to read it even if it was in the language they did speak. That's Sean from Bridlington. Yeah. Apparently, absurdly, they haven't translated this pamphlet. It's 9 pages, and it's in English. Well, we know the vast majority of these migrants who come across the channel illegally, A, they're young men, and B, they don't speak English. So, very, very strange. What else we got? Yeah, this is Ray and Huntington. Why didn't the Prime Minister say right at the outset, no freebies at all, because it doesn't look good? Pay for stuff yourself. Well, he's had to claim his own freebies as well, so he's had to declare them as well. They like it. That's why, you know, they see it as perks of the job. They get free tickets to things. So in the end, they don't really care what we think. They never have. We learned that in their expenses. We learned that with Freebiegate last year, when we found out that old Keir and the gang were getting free clothes from Lord Ali. And now we're finding it out again. They've spent, or they've accepted, an outrageous £400,000 worth of freebies this year already. That's MPs of all parties, but many of them are Labour, many of them are Cabinet Secretaries. It is an outrage. Let me know what you think. 03444 991,000. Stuart says, good morning, Kev. I'm pretty sure that the Champagne socialist Emily Thornberry was and still is an anti-royalist, just like she's anti-British and anti the English flag. You remember she went down to Thanet and posted a sort of mocking tweet about a guy who had the St George's cross all over his, the St George's flag all over his house, and Emily thought that was hilarious. Is she an anti-royalist? I don't know, but they like Harry and Meghan, you see, because Harry and Meghan don't like Trump. They're left-wing and woke, so Labour tend to like them. Let's go to break. When we come back, we're going to talk about, well, the Premier League got underway on Friday night and yesterday. More matches this afternoon. So, Director of Sport at the Sun newspaper, Sean Custis, will be in the studio letting us know what's going on in the Premier League. So that next, stay tuned.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Well, the Premier League got started on Friday night. Arsenal walking all over Coventry, then a full schedule yesterday, and obviously more matches this afternoon. Sean Custis, Director of Sport from the Sun newspaper, is in the studio. First thing we have to talk about is not a great start to the season for Man United, was it?
No, it wasn't, and I think Man United fans might have had hopes for a decent season, and they've been crushed already by a whole side who, I've got to say, were a lot better than I think a lot of people expected. They played really, really well. An old-fashioned type of football, dare I suggest, getting down the wings, getting the crosses in, while Man United were trying to keep hold of the ball and play a lot of tippy-tappy without really breaking through their defence at all. Look, everybody laughs, don't they, if Man United lose? Unless you're a Man United fan, everybody thinks it's hilarious and funny. But it is a serious situation for them. And there are big questions about their recruitment team. Omar Barada, Jason Wilcox, those sort of people who oversee their transfers. And most of them have been pretty poor. Yeah. You've got to say their recruitment is not great. And it looks like at the moment they're going to struggle. When you come to the point where you have to say Harry Maguire was their most dangerous attacker, and he is very good. Nobody is very good at set pieces, but he was actually the one going round defenders and having shots. He was easily the most dangerous player above Cunha and Buemo. Look, Hull were excellent, but Man United, as Michael Carrick himself says, have got questions to answer. Bruno Fernandes was furious about lack of intensity. And it just wasn't there, was it?
Yeah, it wasn't their day, and I think they've got problems. But perhaps not as profound problems as Spurs. I watched that game against Brentford yesterday. Spurs were lamentable.
They were. I caught you laughing about that before we even started. So after you've laughed at Man United, which everybody does, then people who support London teams like yourself, let's give Fulham a mention anyway, because that is traditional.
We've got to talk about that in a minute.
Like to laugh at Spurs, don't they? And hapless Spurs and all that. You are not going to get any, no matter how much money you've spent, which Spurs have spent a lot, you're not going to get anywhere if you've got Richarlison as your centre forward. You're just not. He doesn't score enough goals. He's not impactful enough. And now he can't even roll around on the ground claiming fouls anymore because the ref tells you to get up or you go off the side of the pitch for a minute. They've got a goalkeeper who's dodgy as well. Dodgy goalkeeper, dodgy striker. They've spent absolute fortunes, and I could have told them that Sandro Tonali is well overpriced at £92 million, by about 70 million quid. Who didn't play yesterday, they've signed a left-back from Liverpool, who Liverpool wanted to let go. They've got a midfielder in Bergvall who couldn't get in the Swedish starting side. He was exposed yesterday as well. And now they're trying to sign Savinho for a heck of a lot of money and Marmoush, both from Manchester City, neither of whom figured really at all for Man City last season. That's not going to improve them very much. They've got serious problems. Again, though, Brentford were absolutely brilliant. They were absolutely bossed it. They ran midfield, ran it up front, never under any serious problems. Quite enjoyed their performance, actually.
Yeah, I did too. I watched the first 10 minutes. I thought they weren't going to keep this up, but they did.
That was right. But I thought that about Hull as well, to be honest, Kevin. I thought McBurney had a header which was well saved, and I thought, well, that'll be it for them. And then they just kept coming and kept coming, didn't they?
Exactly right. Today we have got... well, we'll talk about your team, Newcastle, in just a second. Man City take on Bournemouth. What kind of Manchester City are we going to see?
Well, it wasn't a very good one last week against Arsenal, was it, in the Community Shield? They were pretty poor, pretty insipid. There's a big feeling that they've lost their aura because Pep Guardiola has left. Yeah. If you've watched the documentary about Pep, which is just out on Netflix, you will see the command he had over his players and the emotion and the passion he talked about an awful lot, talking about how his team don't have enough passion, and he had lost the passion for his marriage, and he expected to get passion from them to substitute this, and he wasn't getting it. He was getting really cross. Maresca, I know, so strange, very strange. But Maresca doesn't have that sort of, I don't know, what is it, impact, that sort of feeling, that sort of oomph.
But you said it about Pep Guardiola. It's more than charisma. That guy's just got this aura.
He does.
I mean, there's something about Pep more than anyone else in all of football. To take over from that,
well, it's really
difficult.
hard. It's like following Sir Alex Ferguson, isn't it? Man United. It's a really, really difficult job for Maresca. I don't think he's incompetent by any means, but he's going to find that a really tough job. Be difficult.
Yeah, indeed. Well, let's talk about your team. There, you've got. Newcastle got Liverpool at home at St James's Park at 4:30. Again, that's an intriguing game. How do you think it's going to pan out?
Well, I mean, first of all, it's intriguing for other sorts of reasons, which is there'll be massive tributes to Kevin Keegan today. The passing of Kevin Keegan, who was a famous player for both clubs.
Of course.
Made his name really at Liverpool before going on to Newcastle, where he's a great player and manager, and that would be a huge event before we even kick off. You look at both clubs on the pitch, and you've got to say the question marks already about both of them. Newcastle have recruited, but mainly younger players. Iraola's saying he doesn't have enough players. They, of course, have Alexander Isak in the side, who is a sort of enemy of Newcastle nowadays, having won us the Carabao Cup previously. So he'll be getting a bit of stick. And Liverpool have a lot to prove. Newcastle, it's probably going to be one of those seasons where we'll let it go how they perform as long as they stay up.
Right, let's talk about the big one on tomorrow night. The Chelsea, Fulham Chelsea at Craven Cottage, 8 o'clock. I shall be there. Now, I accept, in the big scheme of things, people don't want to particularly talk about Fulham, but they will be very interested in the new look Chelsea. What kind of Chelsea are we going to see?
I'm not sure. Alonso's obviously a proven manager with Bayer Leverkusen, had a tricky time at Real Madrid, but there's a lot of issues about personalities who were there at Real Madrid. And look, it's a very political sort of club to be a manager of, so it's kind of new slate. You would say also Chelsea can be a bit political as well. They've got the issues off the field about who's going to own the club, Todd Boehly getting out, so he's got that going on in the background. On the pitch, look, they've showed a few flashes in pre-season, but from your point of view, it's a tough start, isn't it, to get a London derby? I mean, you get a lot of London derbies, don't get me wrong, but this one's a particularly spicy one.
Yes, it is.
Are you expecting much?
Well, I've been telling everybody, and absolutely no doubt whatsoever that Fulham are going to win. Am I going to put any money on that? No.
Are you going in the posh seats, by the way? I see now. I got an email this week about how you can have a 4-course meal. I think there was caviar involved or something, and you can really you can go very, very posh at Fulham nowadays. I'm not cheap and cheap.
You can even watch
watching the game.
You can watch from a swimming pool as well if you want.
It's
seriously
ridiculous. What's the game coming to? What about you? You're still a man of the people.
I'm in the terraces where I always was, the Hammersmith.
But you're not expecting a win.
Look, I'm trying to stay positive here. I'll be very pleased if we get a draw. It's going to be a tough game for us, obviously.
It is.
But we don't really know what kind of Fulham's going to go out there either. So, two unknown quantities to an extent. If we get a draw, I'll be thrilled. If we win, my God, it'll be beyond my dreams. So I think Chelsea might turn out to be quite a strong side.
Yeah, could do. Yeah. I think you might be right.
Well, intriguing times. So good to have Sean in the studio. Sean Custis there, Director of Sport at the Sun newspaper. The Premier League is off, folks. Next up, we'll get Angela Levin on to talk more about the Royals and the return of Harry and Meghan, the gruesome twosome. That next. Stay tuned. Big thanks to Sean Custis.
you know, when I'm doing these Vex Vicar programmes, I'm looking at our politicians right now, and I have to say that, you know, some of the stuff that's going on in our nation right now, what I call $10 billion problems, but being dealt with by $2 politicians that just don't have the bandwidth, the chutzpah, or the ability to deal with what's going on in our nation right now. We've got Andy Burnham doing, like, videos, is it a cob or is it a bomb, whilst we've got a Russian warship playing games in our seas.
Meghan came in, and it seems to me, maybe I'm being unfair, but it seems to me that she came in with an attitude that this might be an opportunity for her to make money, it might be an opportunity to advance her own interests.
Do you not think it was true love?
Look, it's never been what British monarchs and British royals have done. They're there to serve the country. She clearly wasn't interested in doing that. I was delighted.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. After the 9 o'clock news, I'll be joined by former Met Police Detective Peter Blexley. We'll get his take on the gruesome twosome, Harry and Meghan's security, and we'll go through some of the other big stories of the day with Peter. So that's after the 9 o'clock news. But until we get to that point, let's go over to royal biographer Angela Levin. Hi, Angela.
Good morning.
I heard you the other day. I obviously want to talk about Meg back, as they're calling it. The gruesome twosome returning from the States with their tails between their legs. I heard you say the other day, because we're still, aren't we, all of us, are still actually scrabbling around. What is the real reason? Why are they coming back? It may be a number of factors, but there's something in there that I feel we don't quite know yet. But you said, I heard you say, that you thought that one factor was that Meghan, she's out to destroy. She does not like the royal family, and coming back, she will be revelling in the fact that their return is causing chaos for King Charles and his family. She wants to destroy the royal family.
Yes. She's one of these people, there are not many of them, that actually can't bear losing. She has to win. You know, she tried to win even to get in front of the line of the royal family when they were going out, when the Queen was there, and, you know, it doesn't matter. Meghan's got to win. And I think she's gone on and on at Harry about her winning, that he's followed to do some very negative things. I mean, it's very difficult with her. And I think what she does is that she's just, she works it out. She's very clever to work out what would be the worst thing to do. And I think as well that it was her idea, Harry probably followed it, but maybe not, that they would come to the UK without telling King Charles until it was 3 days ahead. Now, there's Harry saying he loves his dad and he's so sorry, it's very well. No, but the king is still got cancer, and he has had a lot of difficulty dealing with all the work because he's wanted to keep up working all the time. But actually, if you feel he likes to know what's going on up to sort of 6 months so that he can think about it and do it properly. But to actually come a bombshell to tell them they're coming, 4 of them are coming, they're coming in 3-4 days, bad luck, you know. Why would you do that to someone who was really, really kind and the king? The other thing, I think, if you go backwards, that Harry, I don't think any man would be so cruel to his wife, who hated the country, who hated the people, who hated everything about UK, that he would insist that they would come. What I think is that she thinks it's going to be great. You can be really nasty. You're not going to be within the royals. You're going to do whatever you like. And she might go in no clothes, some clothes. She's going to just make it her own. One of the things that's halted this is that It's Guy Ritchie. She was going to get a job on that.
The Gentleman, yeah.
Yes. One that was going to give her £1 million. So she must have been delighted and think, oh, yes, I'll come, it's fine. But actually, he's run away because he thinks, obviously, she's making too much, she's talking too much, and he doesn't want her telling him what to do. They hadn't actually signed anything yet, but she can't wait. She tells everybody, the papers aren't to say anything, but she will say something. So she knew that, but now that's going to be a little more difficult.
Yeah, looks like that's not happening, the Gentleman thing. Tina Brown, the former very close friend of Princess Diana, who's very in with royal circles, said that she's hearing that offer, the potential offer of a role in the third series of The Gentleman, Guy Ritchie's Netflix TV series, has been withdrawn because Ritchie has decided that there's too much of a backlash. It's causing too much gossip, and he doesn't need it. So it doesn't look like she's going to get that role. But I don't think that ever would have been the real reason they came back. There's not enough money involved. That's not what it is. I think they're coming back because I think it's just as simple as this. I think Harry's going to have to go to his dad and say, Daddy, can I have some money to bail them out?
Yeah, and unfortunately, he might give it to them. The taxpayers are going to be us. Labour MPs suggest that it's very important that they're looked after. How can you say that? I mean, Harry's got money still, plenty of money. And I think he's going to make it very difficult for him because, yes, I've realised what he's done. There was one royal place he was going to stay, Harry, for a day, because he's then going off to look after a charity, which is children who are not well, and he does something there. Now, the royal family, the royal place is a royal place, and that's an inn with the royal family. The other one with the children is not. So he's already proven that it's in and out, you know? He's just so cruel. He's just so rude. He shouldn't do that if he knows what he's going to do is something that's got nothing to do with the royal family. So he shouldn't do that.
What do you think, Angela, so up in Balmoral now, this is where the Royals always have a holiday at this time of year there, but it has turned into a kind of emergency crisis summit about what the royal family are going to do about this pair of ingrates, the Sussexes, coming back from America. And I think the King has got to get on board. I don't know quite how across it is, but the people of this country really do not want this pair to be completely forgiven and for all their sins forgotten. They don't want that.
They haven't even apologised. They haven't even apologised.
Exactly. They want William and Catherine in particular, but also Anne, also Edward, all of them to stay strong and say, no, you don't just waltz back into this family, and you certainly don't get £5 million worth of taxpayers' money to fund your security. So the King's got to get it right. He's got to know the mood of the people here, don't you think?
Yes, but I've heard that the King is having a long conversation with William to work out how they can do it. They have already said that they don't want them to come up for any things that they're doing, Christmas or anything. They're not going to take part in that. So as a first move, I think that's not too bad. And I think that if they can't get a home, they can go and stay with Charles Spencer, Harry's uncle, and he can do that. But I think the whole thing is that the aura will be awful. And actually what William wants to do, Harry can try and do it the day before or the hour before. And, do all his jokes and, make it all very happy and lovely. He can actually spoil everything. There's lots of others who are not royal workers, and they're fine. They look after what they're doing. They never try to upset anyone, but they're coming to absolutely make it as nasty and as anything as they can actually manage.
And you know this, don't you, Angela, that apart from the fact that William and Catherine quite rightly are furious because they don't like the fact that Harry and Meghan call Catherine a racist, and all the other slings and arrows that they've thrown at that couple, what we also know is that those hard-working royals, Princess Anne, Prince Edward, Sophie Wessex, are very upset about this because they work very hard as working royals and they know what Harry and Meghan are going to do. They're going to come back here. Of course, they won't be able to carry out official royal duties, but they'll go to charity events and it'll look like they're carrying out royal duties. That's what's upsetting the royal family. This is going to be, it's going to be a shambles. It's going to be a soap opera, isn't it?
Yes, that's why I think that the aides are closing all sorts of places because they can't have them making it look as it was from the royal family, and they wanted it for somebody who actually is not part of it. It's going to be a game. But I was with Harry for 13 months, 15 months when I wrote his biography. I really, really liked him. He was so nice. He was easy. He was good. And then Meghan came, and I was with him for a while about that, but he changed immediately. She had to win. She had to tell him what to do. She was absolutely there for him, and he was shaking about whether he said anything. He said to me, "Don't tell me, don't ask." And
it's pathetic, isn't it?
That was at the beginning. But if you're with somebody for such a long time and you watch them all the time, as a journalist writing something, you would. I saw him destroy himself, and he's become very, very different. First of all, Meghan could get anything she wanted from him, anything. And I think there was a time not very long ago when he got fed up with actually everyone saying, well, he's just a sort of helper. And so now he's coming back with a lot of power and determination, and will do it his way, and he's absolutely going to ruin it. So the fact that he's saying that he wants to see his father and how he cares for him, honestly, it's just a disgusting lie.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we know how much Prince Harry and Meghan care about the health of the older members of the royal family because of the way they treated the Queen, the late Queen, and Prince Philip. They made their last years and months miserable. So I agree with you, Angela. I don't put any store at all by all this nonsense about Harry being worried about his father's health. I think Harry thinks about two people, Meghan and himself. That's it. They are selfish people, and God knows what the next months lay in store for us, because this is going to be a tawdry soap opera, and it's a shame. It really is. Angela, it's brilliant to have you on, as always. Thank you so much. The excellent royal biographer, Angela Levin there. Now, after the break, I'll be joined by former Met Police Detective Peter Bleksley. I'll get his take on the security issues surrounding the Sussexes, and we'll go through some of the other big stories of the day as well. So stay tuned. Peter Bleksley after the news. Back in a mo.
It is therefore my honour to declare that the duly elected leader of the Labour Party is Andy Burnham.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks so much. I believe in all of you, and I am confident we can do it. Thank you very much. I have just come from Buckingham Palace, where I have accepted His Majesty the King's invitation to form a government. I know people at home are fed up with politics. I hear you, and I want to be honest with you. We have not been good enough, and we need to be better. We will be.
This man has no mandate whatsoever. He didn't stand on the 2024 general election manifesto. You cannot make the biggest change in British politics in 40 years without a mandate from the British people, and it will be only decent, right and proper to call a general election on that issue and to do it now.
Our fifth Prime Minister in 4 years. Blimey. And, well, look, we want him to succeed. But will this one be any different? Andy Burnham, the new head honcho, the speed this all happened, I know this is a well-trodden debate already, is actually breathtaking. 1 minute he was Mayor of Greater Manchester. What, a month and a bit ago he wasn't even an MP. The next he's holding keys to number 10 without the country ever really having a chance to scrutinise him in a prospective prime ministerial nothing at all. We really know very little.
I think Burnham has to walk a fine line. I think that's probably what's going on, because if he were to sweep into Downing Street and say, I'm going to change everything, I'm going to fix everything, I'm going to do things completely differently to Starmer, then people would say, hold on, mate, we need a general election in that case, because no one voted for that. No one voted for you to be Prime Minister. You weren't standing in the 2024 general election. We've never seen your manifesto. Who the hell are you? That's what people would be asking.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. This is the final hour of breakfast this morning. I am Kevin O'Sullivan. I'm not Mark Dolan. You may have noticed, but I'm standing in for Mark, who's on a well-deserved holiday. So I'll be with you until 10 a.m. I do believe that the one and only Miss Alex Phillips will take over the helm of the Good Ship Talk after 10 a.m. for her show, taking through to 1 p.m. So all of that's still to come. But in 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes, I'm going to be talking to Tim McNally. He is chairman of the Piddington Parish Council and founder of the Village That Roared campaign. Piddington is a village of 350 souls with 46 children. It is one of the rural communities that has been singled out by this government to be destroyed by a massive migrant camp next door. Well, Tim McNally's not having it. He has formed a massive campaign called The Village That Roared. Piddington is planning to declare itself independent. It has appealed to President Trump to become the 52nd state or something like that. And also he's got the backing of Elon Musk, who's been tweeting in favour of the Village That Roared. And Tim is going to hook up with other villages threatened, like Linton on Ouse up in North Yorkshire, Bareham in Norfolk, which is threatened. All these villages are threatened with these huge camps. Linton on Ouse, 1,500 young male migrants threatened to be put into a camp right in the middle of that village. It will ruin the village, and it will make that instantly the biggest migrant camp in all of Britain. This will destroy villages, will change villages, will completely change the childhoods of the kids who live in these villages. This is very important, though. It's the battle for Britain. Can Tim McNally from the Village That Roared campaign get together with the other villages threatened by this and save this country? Because it's being changed irrevocably by these huge migrant camps. So we'll talk to Tim next at 03444991000. Before we get to Tim, though, let's go over to my next guest. He is former Met Police Detective Peter Bleksley. Welcome, Peter.
Good morning.
Good to have you on the show. Well, look, I want to get your take on Harry and Meghan's security arrangements a little later. But let's do a couple of crime stories here. There's one, thousands of sex offenders in England and Wales are being considered for a scheme. It'll be voluntary, in which about 1 in 4 of all sex offenders, that's about 3,750 prisoners, will be considered for drug treatments, drugs that will control their libidos. This will be a plan to explore potential mandatory chemical castration of serious sex offenders going forward. What's your feeling about the use of drugs in this area, Pete?
I'd like to see a lot more research into this done, because as any experienced detective who spent a lot of time investigating paedophiles will tell you, they cannot change. It's not what they do, it's who they are. They are sex offending, predatory paedophiles. So will a tablet, will an injection suddenly change their mindset so that they do not reoffend in the future? Well, if it does, all well and good, but I know that myself and some former detectives I've been talking to are very sceptical about this.
Yeah, I mean, I always... There's something about this particular government, socialist governments, they like chemicals. They like the idea of, medicalising the public. They've got this sort of plan to sort of mass medicalise us all with Ozempic and Manjaro and all these fat jabs. I just feel like kind of innately suspicious about the idea of a government that wants to give the population drugs.
Suspicious is a great word to use, because I'd be suspicious about when are they going to take these drugs? How do we know they've taken these drugs? How do we know they've taken the right dose? Will it be tablet form? Will it be injection form? Under what kind of environment and circumstances will they be forced to take these drugs? So many questions over a very, very serious matter, and they can't get this wrong, because what it will mean is, if they do get it wrong, further victims of crime will be created. More women, more children will fall foul of these revolting, predatory paedophiles. It's too important a subject to allow the politicians to get it wrong.
Yeah, I'll tell you what we could think about, Pete. I think we should think about getting rid of the current policy that they don't like to talk about, which is essentially that paedophiles on their first offence, we have a policy in this country, we don't imprison them. Ask Hugh Edwards. I think we should think about that, don't you? I think we should imprison paedophiles on their first offence.
First offence, second offence, third offence. The courts have a dreadful record when it comes to locking paedophiles up, because, quite frankly, they simply do not do it often enough or for long enough. What kind of country do we live in whereby Lucy Connolly gets locked up for 31 months for writing something very unpleasant, and yet Hugh Edwards doesn't? That is a kind of topsy-turvy world that doesn't make any sense, doesn't deliver any form of justice, and leaves people thinking, what the heck is going on?
Yeah, and this, in terms of that, what the heck is going on, doesn't make any sense to me that we have a government saying, well, you see, our hands are tied, the prisons are completely full up, that's why we have to keep letting these very dangerous men out. Well, OK, but why are they not proposing any solutions, as in building more prisons, if necessary, Nightingale prisons, temporary prisons, built in 3 weeks? Why are there no plans to do something about our overcrowded prison system, apart from releasing dangerous people? It's not satisfactory, is it?
And it's not rocket science either. Building the equivalent of a Nightingale hospital, in other words, a Nightingale prison is surely not beyond the power of mankind. We put a man on the moon half a century ago, and politicians quite trying to convince us that they cannot create the equivalent of a pop-up jail to house people in it. It's absolutely ludicrous. Of course, generations of politicians are to blame for the dreadful mess that we're in, but be warned, everybody, this autumn we're going to have thousands more criminals on the streets, and we're going to have a lot less police officers on the streets. So what do we think the outcome of that is going to be?
Yeah, I mean, 5,000 still being released. And by the way, while we're on the subject, Pete, you and I know, and I think a lot of the British public know, that so far all we've had from Andy Burnham and his government is flannel about these two killers of PC Andrew Harper. Andy Burnham saying, well, you know, I'm confident we can find a way to keep them behind bars because as things stand, they're being released. Well, guess what? They're still being released. You know, it's all very well the Prime Minister saying, I'm confident we can find a way to keep them behind bars. Well, around about 2 to 3 weeks after he said that, he hasn't found a way of keeping them behind bars. As things stand, they're still going to get released.
Andy Burnham has very quickly proven that he is the master of performative politics. All he does is performance. Look at his silver-tongued speech outside Downing Street. Oh, I'm going to solve homelessness at the stroke of a pen. Yeah, righto, we'll see about that. The tour of the UK, performative politics of a completely new and different level. And performative politics has a place only if you back it up with deeds, with action, with positive things being done. And I'm afraid there's a lot of chat and there's really not a lot of action when it comes to Andy Burnham.
Yeah, God knows what he's about. It seems to me he's about bus fares, and that's about it. While I've got you on, we're going to talk to Tim McNally from Piddington, the Oxfordshire village that's threatened with this 1,250-strong massive migrant camp. Up in Yorkshire, there's a place called Linton on Ouse. They're going to get one potentially with 1,500 young male migrants, all of them male. That'll make it the biggest camp in the country. We've already got one with about 1,000 in Wethersfield in Essex. More and more of these giant migrant camps where the government's going to put asylum seekers. As I say, most of them all male. I mean, the crime potential there, the crime problems posed by the sudden imposition of a little village like Piddington on that village of 1,250 young male foreigners. The crime implications are just terrifying, aren't they?
But imagine, if we will, imagine there was no crime committed, but that the people of beautiful Piddington had to walk into the road to swerve gangs of men hanging around on street corners. The people had to escort their wives and girlfriends. They had to hold the children's hands, that the children didn't feel safe to go to the park, that women had to be escorted everywhere they went. Just imagine that. That is bad enough. But of course, it will go beyond that, because the crime statistics have sadly proven time and time again that a disproportionately high number of these people who come to the UK, whether it be on boats, smuggled in the back of a lorry, however it may be, they go on to commit very serious crime, including rape and, yes, murder. And the fact that our politicians are doing so little to stop this is an absolute abrogation of their duty. They are neglectful. They are putting Britain and its citizens in danger. Shame on them.
Absolutely. It's a real serious women and children's safety issue, and this government just doesn't seem to care. It's extraordinary. Peter, I've got to move on now to our friends, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Where do you stand on this morning, for example, Emily Thornberry is leading a charge of many backbench Labour MPs saying that the British taxpayer should fund the £5 million a year it's going to cost to provide the Sussexes, the Duke and the Duchess and their children with round-the-clock security. There's no doubt they're going to need security, but I don't think we should be paying for it. But the Labour MPs are now saying we should foot the bill for Harry and Meghan's round-the-clock security, £5 million a year. I don't think we should, do you?
There is no such thing as perfect security. But the best close protection security you can get is that which is supplied to the King and other senior royals by the Metropolitan Police. They are the very best in the business of what they do. Harry and Meghan are undoubtedly high-profile targets. They need, as unpalatable as this may sound, they need to be protected. They will very, very much be targets for the obsessed, the fixated, the dangerous, the deluded. So many people out there, unfortunately, will want to do them harm. And as sickening as this may sound, because of everything that that couple have done, not only to the royal family, but to the nation, I have to say, unfortunately, and with some regret, I think they need that protection.
I think they need the protection. I just don't think we should pay for it. I mean, you know, if necessary, Harry should go to his dad. His dad's worth a fortune. I need £5 million. We shouldn't pay for it. They're not working royals. It's a bit like, you know, as I said earlier, when big celebrities from Hollywood come over, Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, whatever, they need very serious security. No one would ever suggest British taxpayers should pay for it. Harry and Meghan are in the same category. I agree with you, Pete. They certainly need protection, but I don't think British taxpayers should pay for it, do you?
You raise an absolutely pertinent, important point. And the way you couch it, the way you frame it, yes, of course, go to your daddy, get the money off of him.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, by all means, no one is saying they don't need security. They really, really do. But there's no way we should be paying for it. Pete, listen, really great to have you on the show. Always a pleasure. That's the brilliant Peter Bleksley, former Met Police detective. Get on the phone, let me know what you think. Should we give sex offenders drugs to reduce their libidos? Is that the direction we should be going in? You know, you get this sort of liquid castration. You can use chemicals to castrate sex offenders. Would you be happy with that direction of travel? Or do you think maybe we shouldn't enter that arena? What do you reckon? 0344 499 1000. This is, what do we got here? Let's take a couple of them. Ruben says, so Labour MPs that hate British people and their values take free tickets to Wimbledon, one of the most British events of the year. That's from Liam. This is to me and Emma. Emma Trimble was in earlier. This is from Cliff in Berkshire. A freebie given to an MP. Deprive a paying punter of a scarce ticket to a popular event such as Wimbledon Show Court Final. Yeah, that's right. Why should MPs, why should politicians get free tickets? But it wouldn't be a bad idea to ban them, would it? Because, you know, there's got to be the aura of corruption around about that. Why would you give an MP a free ticket if you're a company or whatever? Because you want something back. So maybe it'd be good to ban it. I don't know. What do you think? 0344 499 1000. What should we do about MPs freebies. We learned today they've taken £400,000 worth of free hospitality tickets to sporting events, to concerts, to other events, etc. So far this year, £400,000. It's only 8 months into the year. It's outrageous, don't you think? Got to stop it, don't you think? 0344 499 1000. Let's go to break. When we come back, as I say, I'll be very pleased to welcome to the show the chairman of Piddington Parish Council, Tim McNally, who is now the founder of the Village That Roared campaign. There's going to be a lot of action coming out of Tim for the next couple of months. He's got big plans. He's going to get together with the other villages, the other areas that are threatened by the grim spectre of these enormous migrant camps, 1,500, 1,250. These are massive, and they will ruin the areas. They'll completely change. Piddington will be ruined by this site. So will Linton on the News. Make no mistake. These villages will be ruined by the migrant camps that are proposed to be put in their midst. Why are we doing it? 0344 499 1000. We'll talk to Tim McNally from the Village That Roared next, so stay tuned.
When I'm doing these Vex Vicar programmes, I'm looking at our politicians right now, and I have to say that, some of the stuff that's going on in our nation right now, what I call $10 billion problems, but being dealt with by $2 politicians that just don't have the
bandwidth,
the chutzpah, or the ability to deal with what's going on in our nation right now. We've got Andy Burnham doing videos, is it a cob or is it a bomb, whilst we've got a Russian warship playing games in our seas.
Meghan came in, and it seems to me, maybe I'm being unfair, but it seems to me that she came in with an attitude that this might be an opportunity for her to make money, it might be an opportunity to advance her own interests.
Do you not think it was true love?
Look, it's never been what British monarchs and British royals have done. They're there to serve the country. She clearly wasn't interested in doing that.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Let's go straight over to my next guest. He's the chairman of Piddington Parish Council, but now a fully fledged campaigner. He is the founder of the Village That Roared campaign to try to stop this proposed massive migrant camp to be plonked very close to them with 1,250 young male migrants in it. Of course, they're allowed to walk around. It'll completely ruin their village. Tim is organising a campaign to stop that. Let's find out where he's at with that campaign. Welcome, Tim McNally.
Good morning, Kevin. Morning to you. Thank you for having me. I hope you're well.
Well, I am. Always good to have you on the show, Tim. I'm just thinking, generally speaking, you know, we got your village, Piddington, 350 souls, 46 children, massive migrant camp proposed right next door, 1,250 young male migrants. Go up to Linton on Ouse in North Yorkshire. They have proposed for their village, right in the middle, disused RAF camp, 1,500 young male migrants. The biggest camp in the country that will become a place called RAF Barnham in Suffolk. Another 1,250 migrants proposed in a vast camp next to this village. As you go around the country, this almost looks like a campaign to destroy rural communities, because that's what it will do. I mean, you and I have talked about this before, and I don't want to be a harbinger of doom, but if you get that awful camp near you, Bicester, just down the road, it's going to change your village. Frankly, Tim, it's going to ruin your village, and you're not the only village. What on earth is going on that we have a government that is targeting lovely villages around the country and saying, well, you're screwed, here's 1,000 migrants for you? What on earth is going on?
Well, Kevin, I've been asking that very question and digging a lot deeper, and I mean really digging a lot deeper. I've actually gone into the operational process that these sites are run under, and I've dug deep and got into some content to find out how they start to work, how they start to fail. And I'm going to share with you viewers actually something that I am just absolutely gobsmacked about, and that is that firstly, as a process, these camps are basically free to roam, free to log in, log out, as they wish, whenever they like. When I went up to Wethersfield, that was very clear. The residents there said, look, these people are out 4 o'clock in the morning, the noise, the antisocial behaviour is unreal. But what I've now learned since is that it's not just that actually when they've gone through their asylum process, they're escorted to the edge of the gate, they're given a ticket, and they're told to then travel to Croydon. They're not escorted to Croydon to be deported. And there's no count between when they're excluded and actually reported into Croydon as being received. Where they've gone, how many have been lost? Number one, that's an operational fail in my assessment. Number two, these guys are free to roam. They're not allowed alcohol in the sites, is what the government have said. But every time they return to site, and this is something which really, really is very alarming and concerning for me, they can go out, do what they like, return to site. They're not allowed to be searched. They're not allowed to be searched for drugs, not allowed to be searched for weapons, not allowed to be searched for alcohol. What do you think a young man is going to be doing when he's considering his own security in a group of 1,250 men when he comes back into that camp? What is his primary DNA instinctive response? It's going to be protection. It's going to be enterprise. He's going to think about whatever I can do to protect myself from any risk I might perceive I might have within this own group, never mind on the outside. But obviously on the outside, there's a whole number of animosities towards them. So they are going to tool up. They are going to start to prepare, in my view. I'm not saying that's fact, but it is, it's evidence has demonstrated on a number of occasions where these individuals have actually gone and done deeds, and then they've pulled weapons out the minute they're actually confronted. And that's a really big operational fail. So, when I then look at how we're going to counter that, how we're going to look at who's responsible for this, and what's really blatantly angering me right now is, where are the backbenchers, the MP backbenchers, the women backbenchers? Why are they not standing up for women and children of this country?
Let's just talk for a second, Tim, about the actual logistics of it. Now, your village or your area, if you like, if you put, it's a rural area, as we just discussed, there's 350 people in Piddington. It's a rural area. If you suddenly add to the population of your little enclave 1,250 young men, where is the infrastructure to deal with that? Where are the coppers to deal with that? You can't just say there's another 1,200 men, no more coppers, nothing like that. I mean, the implications are terrifying.
They are terrifying. And again, we can only use the reports from other locations where, you know, Scampton had to be closed because of safety issues. Weatherfields now have police attending on 0 sirens. They don't have the sirens running anymore because it's counting the number of incidents they're reporting to that the village are counting. And it's a continuous loop of perpetual activity of attending site. Disputes occur. They have to disengage the disputes and then they leave. That's a call and resource. We've gone to our police and we've asked them, our rural police team, we've asked them, you know, what's the plan? What are we to do? The first thing they say is you as the village should undertake some form of security audit, which basically means putting up CCTVs, as many CCTVs as you can. That we can take care of. Then we've got to put my 3 words on every lamppost, every telegraph pole, so that if an incident occurs, we can actually call 999 and share where we are when that incident occurs. But it could take 45 minutes to an hour before a police car can attend site. All right. And then we've got the next issue, really, which is, you know, there's only a handful of police. They cover 46 villages. 46 villages for a handful of police. There's no common sense to this. And I do generally believe that this government is working in enterprise, in criminal enterprise, because if any incident occurs, I will be holding them responsibly under a criminal enterprise exposure, because they know what they're doing. They published their pamphlet this week about the behavioral expectations, and the words they use are just astonishing. It's you could be, you know, in trouble if you do these things to women. Could is not strong enough for me. That is ridiculous. And it's also a tantamount acceptance. So they know the risks they're bringing into the area, and actually the zero activity to actually protect us is just unfathomable.
Exactly right. Yeah, that pamphlet, the 9-page booklet, you know, understanding behaviours and, you know, telling migrants, by the way, be a bit careful because you'll find that raping women and children in this country is against the law. It's the first time that these bien-pensant socialist Labour MPs, this government has indicated to us that it does know what the problem is, because hitherto, before this pamphlet, they've basically given us the idea, well, you see, these migrants who are coming into the country, they're mostly women, children, scientists, doctors and engineers escaping war and torture. Well, they're not. They're 90% young chancer males, economic migrants. That is the truth of it. And too many of them, certainly not all of them, nobody wants to say demonise every single one of them, but too many of them, disproportionate number of them, go on to be either convicted of or arrested for sex crimes. We're importing a sex crime epidemic, which again is terrifying for communities like yours. Tell us, Tim, you said you went up to Wethersfield to check out what life is like there. There's 1,250 migrants living in their local massive migrant camp, former disused RAF base. Do you intend to work in tandem with these other communities who are threatened by these massive camps to actually give the government a headache, to form a united front, to tell them where it's at?
Well, as you know, Kevin, we've got this mindset about this battle for Britain. Because if we've just got a wall of silence from the government at every level. In our little village, we've actually got, it will be a 10-to-1 male to female proportion.
That's grotesque. It's grotesque, isn't it? That?
10-to-1. And as I say, not a single backbencher, MP backbencher, has dared to make what I call the career-ending discussion, a career-ending discussion dare to mention that you have a feeling for women and children who are going to be exposed to this risk. So where are those backbenchers? Where are they? Where are those front benchers? Where is there just a simple, an ounce of consideration would be lovely. Just an ounce. A gram. I'll take a gram, right? I don't care how small it is. Stand up for your responsibility as an MP of this country and do what's right for you. Do what's right for your children. Do what's right for your daughters, sisters, mothers, grandmothers. Think about it. By sitting silent, you are complacent and you're actually contributing to this criminal act. And one other action I want to just mention to you, Kevin, which I don't want to forget, is I've heard this week about we've been flying people in to Manchester who are also undocumented. Where have they come from? Where's the plane actually pick them up from? Are we picking them up from the Soweto people from Spain? How is the government? What's the government doing there? Has anyone got any idea about this? I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's a lie. I just want to ask that question. Where are those men going to go? Who are they going to, who are they? Because they're not even on the boats. These are coming in on a predefined, organized plane to bring them into this country. And they're undocumented because it's been leaked, that's the case, at night time. Why is everything done in the dead of night? Why is everything done in closed doors and behind curtains?
Well, we don't quite know what's going on there, but you're quite right. It certainly demands questions, and we should demand answers as well. So much of this migrant crisis is shady and dubious, but I think the essence of it, and this is what you're picking up on, this is the battle for Britain, because the more they do this, the more they plonk these massive great migrant camps on rural communities, or for that matter, municipal communities, the more the nature of this country changes. This is the battle. This is the final battle for this country. It's the battle for Britain. And I think that battle with you, Tim, is in good hands. We will keep in touch, and good luck with the village that roared, because you are roaring. You are roaring, and it's good to have you on the show as always. The brilliant Tim McNally there, who's going to become a really key figure, trust me. He is getting together with all these other communities. You know, this government isn't going to get away with this. They're not just going to plonk these massive great camps on rural communities, on middle-class communities, and expect those communities to do nothing. Tim McNally will get them all together. They're going to get a united front. It's going to be a tough time for the government in times to come. And they deserve all the hard times they've got, because they've got no plan to stop the boats, no plan to solve this crisis. And you have to ask, do they want to solve this crisis? No, they don't, I don't think. But there you are. Let me know what you think. 03444991000. The battle for Britain. Are you behind it? Let's go to break. Next up, we'll talk to Ace Talk reporter Samara Gill. We're going to go back to the royal story, get some other information from her as well about exactly what is going on with Harry and Meghan. That next. Stay tuned.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Let's go straight over to my next guest. She is Talk's ace reporter, Samara Gill. Hi, Samara. Hello, Samara. What's going on there? Hello. We don't seem to be connecting here. Can somebody do something about this? Samara doesn't seem to be aware of our very existence, but we will work that out. In the meantime, this is from Kim in Devices, another message that's been sent to me. This is from Kim in Devices. I sincerely hope when William becomes king, he strips Harry and Meghan of the HRH titles. They're no longer welcome here. Great show. That's from Kim in Devices. Okay, is Samara there? Because all I'm hearing you all in the control room, all shouting away, so that's good. Samara, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I can't see you, but I am here.
You can't see me, okay. It just gets better and better, doesn't it?
I've been here the whole time.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Okay.
There we go.
Can you see me now? Okay.
Yes, all
Good. We got you there in the end.
I woke up so early for this, Kev.
Yeah, you tell me about it. Yeah, I've been up since 3:30. Right, Harry and Meghan. I think everybody's agreed we shouldn't pay for their security, for their £5 million a year security bill. That shouldn't be burdened on taxpayers. But what do you make of this thing, this alleged role she's got in The Gentleman, which is, what's his name, Guy Ritchie's Netflix TV series, Series 3. Looks like that role might be falling apart at the seams anyway. Tina Brown saying that offer has been withdrawn. But that would never have been the reason for them coming back, would it?
No, I honestly, I mean, this is all alleged, but I really do think it was Meghan pushing this role to the media. You know that she leaks and leaks and leaks when she wants something done. And Harry was using these tactics when he was coming over to the UK a couple of weeks ago with Buckingham Palace. Oh, is there some issue?
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Oh, okay. No, he was using these problems when he was going over to Buckingham Palace, you know, briefing against the palace, then saying that, you know, he wasn't allowed to stay there. And it was a back and forth. And I think this is exactly the tactic that Meghan has used with Guy Ritchie. But I also think it's Netflix putting pressure on any project that will take her so that they can get some of their money's worth back out of this ludicrous deal that they pulled with her, the famous $100 million deal. And I think this is also them saying, gosh, we've got to make some sort of project work. But it's also them covering up the fact that the Netflix relationship has ultimately failed. I mean, I was reading an article this morning that said that Netflix offices in Los Angeles were telling staff to take Meghan's jam home, and they were actively trying to get rid of all the perishables that they had in the office. So the storage areas have become somewhat of a gourmet pantry, and you can't find a better metaphor for this sort of crusade that they went on in Hollywood and how it's ended. It's ended with a bunch of minimum wage staff taking pots of jam home. They can't get rid of it.
Yeah, a fitting legacy for the gruesome twosome. But that's, I mean, whatever the actual, I mean, whatever the hell is actually going on, the headline on this is that 6 years in America, they went to Hollywood thinking, we're going to make a fortune, we're going to cash in on our royal connections, everybody in Tinseltown will give us opportunities. They kind of did, but they've blown it. They've screwed it up. 6 years, everything's gone wrong in America. It's all dried up for them, and they're coming back here desperately to try and make a few quid here in Britain. It's as simple as that, because they cannot. The ATM, the American cash machine, is over for them. It's dried up.
And that's the worst part, is that it's so clearly craven how they view the British people as some sort of other money pot to jump into. You know, honestly, trust me, they're going to actually rinse the British taxpayer for security. It's going to be a thing. Some stupid paparazzi will pop up at their house that's potentially in the Cotswolds, and then Harry will cry to his dad saying, I need top-level security, and us, the British taxpayer, are going to be forced to fork it out. That's what's going to happen in my view. And you're completely right. You know, this whole Sussex experiment, the freedom flight, the way that Meghan thought that she was going to be the next president of the United States of America over there, and Harry was kind of going to be her royal toy boy, just didn't work. The Hollywood domination, you know, it ended with something much more ordinary than they ever thought. Meghan acting, Harry living near his family, and the children going to school in Britain, and sort of everyone just discovering that the quiet life is actually what they kind of were able to achieve and nothing more. They tried to be TV producers. You know, Meghan tried to be the next Martha Stewart, and now she's got Martha Stewart ratting on her. It's all been a colossal failure. And the biggest sort of the horribleness of this situation is the fact that they think that Britain will just welcome them back with open arms after they've been using this country to pay their bills for the last 6 years.
Yeah, as I keep saying, well, as you and I have discussed before, I think their essential problem is both of them are useless at everything. They're no good at stuff.
Therefore, everything they've tried has gone wrong. They show no application. I mean, they don't get their nose to the grindstone. Everything they ever start, they seem to stop. They bought the rights to all these books to make films, and nothing has ever happened. They never get anything together. They never actually succeed at anything. They're just not very good.
Yes, and the chickens have come home to roost. In fact, actually, what's going to happen to their chickens in Montecito? I do wonder.
It's a very good point. Yeah, we're all worried about the chickens.
Yeah, well, is she just going to leave all those animals?
Of course she is. They're just for the cameras, just so she can look cute. Look at me looking cute with the chickens. Oh, look, here's me with the bees. You know, I'm getting the bees and the honey. Yeah, right.
Yeah, the bees are just going to be left for, to fend for themselves, clearly, in Montecito, or whoever ends up purchasing that property that, again, I will predict will go straight to the market, or they'll try and do a very sort of closed private sale of it. There was an article on a home website in the US about a month ago that was kind of parading their property around, but not in a sort of like Harry and Meghan's Montecito mansion. But that is kind of them foraying into, okay, we're going to sell this, because again, what a lot of people don't know is that they don't fully own that property outright. They've got a huge mortgage on it. And then you're hearing from Montecito locals that they are absolutely rejoicing that Harry and Meghan are leaving, because
all of America's rejoicing.
Well, Megyn Kelly, that famous commentator, said that this is the one thing in the last 10 years that all Americans can get together and agree on. Goodbye, Harry and Meghan.
As I keep saying, America's loss is Britain's loss. They can't wait to get rid of them, and they're our problem now. I guess they always have been our problem. Samara, really good to have you on the show. Always a pleasure. Before we go to break, let's play a voice note. This is... who should we play? Peter?
Good morning, Kevin. These tickets, they keep making a big deal out of Nigel Farage all the time, but when the focus is put back on them, they don't like it, do they? I mean, what else are they accepting that we don't know about yet? These MPs, right, especially people like Angela Rayner, doesn't she never learn a lesson? She never ever learns a lesson, does she? After the housing, when she got the mortgage, the tax relief, the tax she had to pay, or she didn't pay, and that still is a question, isn't it? Who paid it for her? Very interesting. Anyway, I won't go on about those Harry and Meghan, because to be quite honest about it, it ain't worth giving them the airtime, is it? You know the game, you know their game. It's only to coincide with Diana's brother's book. Are they going to gain out of it, or are they going to use it for something else? Can't trust either of them. Anyway, have a nice day.
Good voice note from Peter. The thing is, Peter, it is worth giving them the airtime. People are interested. I mean, I don't particularly like them, but I'm interested in them. I think that's what most people feel about Harry and Meghan. Shall we go to break? We'll take some more calls, some more messages when we come back. And Alex Phillips will be in fairly soon to let you know what she's got lined up for your entertainment from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. for her show. So, Alex, in a little while, more of your calls when we come back. 03444 99 1000. See you on the other side.
Was delighted
you know, when I'm doing these Vex Vicar programmes, I'm looking at our politicians right now, and I have to say that, you know, some of the stuff that's going on in our nation right now, what I call $10 billion problems, but being dealt with by $2 politicians that just don't have the
bandwidth,
the chutzpah, or the ability to deal with what's going on in our nation right now. We've got Andy Burnham doing like videos, is it a cob or is it a bomb, whilst we've got a Russian warship playing games in our seas.
Meghan came in, and it seems to me, maybe I'm being unfair, but it seems to me that she came in with an attitude that this might be an opportunity for her to make money, it might be an opportunity to advance her own interests.
Do you not think it was true love?
Look, it's never been what British monarchs and British royals have done. They're there to serve the country. She clearly wasn't interested in doing that.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hi there, welcome back. Kim in Devices says, I sincerely hope when William becomes king, he strips Harry and Meghan of their HRH titles. Are they HRH? But he wants them. William is expected, or it's hoped, that he will strip them of their titles. Thank you very much, Kim in Devices. Let's go back to the phones. Let's talk to Dave in Essex. Hello, Dave. What would you like to say?
Morning, Kev.
Hi.
Well, I wonder if someone, a crypto billionaire, donated £5 million to Meghan and Harry.
Yep.
Would it cause the same uproar as Nigel Farage's £5 million?
Well, probably not, but then again, Harry and Meghan aren't trying to become the Prime Minister.
Exactly. And another thing, Harry and Meghan's logic is this. If they can afford to give billions to people who shouldn't even be in this country and condoms for Pakistan, we're going to have some. That's the logic. If they're giving it away, we want some.
Yeah, but we mustn't. We British taxpayers, we mustn't put up with this. I think it's outrageous. We should not be expected to pay for their security. They should pay for their own. Someone else should pay for it. Not British taxpayers. What are we getting back for it? They're not working for us. They're not working for us. Why should we pay for their security?
We are not taxpayers. We are a bank.
Yeah.
The taxpayer is just a bank where they can go to and say, we need money. The good old taxpayer. They'll keep working, the idiots.
Yeah, totally agree. Dave, really good call. Thanks for ringing. Dave in Essex. A couple more messages. This is from Steve, talking about Kemi Badenoch. Has she changed the fortunes, turned around the fortunes of the Tory party? Steve says, Kemi may have become brilliant at PMQs, Prime Minister's Questions, but that's just a showpiece, all scripted. He's right about that. Both sides know what's going to be said. Pure theatre. Even I can act if I need to. That's from Steve. Yeah, he's right about that. I mean, everybody goes, she's so brilliant at PMQs. Well, half the time she's not writing it. She's performing a script. She's good at performing it. But we shouldn't get carried away. What a genius she is. Let's talk to Sally in Birmingham. Hello, Sally.
Good morning, Kev. How are you?
I'm very, very well. What would you like to talk about?
Oh, I'm so frustrated. Right, OK, so we had a Labour MP on Wednesday on Talk, stood in front of the Metropole Hotel in Blackpool.
Right.
She was ever so proud. She was saying, look, we've emptied it. If we've handed the keys back to the owner, it's going to be amazing. It's going to bring welfare, you know, lots of money back to Blackpool, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
The next morning, Kevin, at 11:30, and I live in Birmingham, they rang me and they said, Sally, you've got a B&B in Blackpool. I went, yeah. And they said, right, well, we're looking for accommodation, 5 beds and plus.
Yeah.
And of course, I said, oh, I'm sorry, you know, I'm fully booked, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I hate the gaslighting, Kevin. You know, people on the Wednesday in front of the Metro they're going home to their families. Hey, Labour are doing
And then they're asking you if you can put up migrants,
right? The next day, they're asking me, can I do my little B&B? But nobody hears that bit.
It's so hypocritical, Sally. It really, really is.
It's so wrong. It just, I'm just, yeah.
That's what we all feel like. Ah! Sick of it. I'm sick of this government, sick of Andy Burnham always in the bus garage. Why don't they just stop the boats? Why don't they do something we actually want them to do? Sally, I absolutely share your frustration, but the sun's out. It's Sunday. Have a nice day. Good to talk to you. Sally in Birmingham. Should we play another voice note? Which one should we play? Oh, this one. Let's play this one. Mike has sent me a voice note on the mansion tax.
Good morning, Kevin. Mike in Cheshire here. This mansion tax. A few years ago, Cheshire County Council sent out letters demanding that their surveyors get access to your property so they can take photographs and measure the rooms. Now, I live in a very modest 4-bedroom house. Well, when I queried it, they did actually say it was voluntary. And yet, in the letter, it said nothing of the sort, and it was so strongly worded, it was like a demand. Well, now they seem to be backing it up by fines. Well, this is going to be interesting, isn't it? Because I say bring it on, because they won't be leaving if they get in. Have a good morning.
It certainly does not sound like a recipe for harmony, does it? So people banging on your door saying, well, we're from the government, we want to assess whether or not you've got to pay the mansion tax. We're coming in to assess whether or not your house is worth £2 million. You know, when they do that, they're not going to come in and say, oh, well, you're lucky, it's coming at just under £2 million, so you don't have to pay it. That is not going to happen. If they come into your house, they are going to assess that your house is worth more than £2 million, so that you have to pay the mansion tax. The sinister mansion tax police. If you don't let them in, £200 fine. Welcome to North Korea. Let's play another voice note, shall we? Which one? Oh, let's play Jane. Jane wants to talk about migrants being moved into communities. So take it away, Jane.
The migrants and the housing. It's not only the taxpayer, but all those people in those areas now. They can't sell the house. The market value of the house is going to go through the floor. Do the government actually understand what they're doing? They're literally demoralising areas of the UK, so no houses are sold, nobody can move. It's beyond me what they're thinking, really. It really is.
Yeah, you're right, Jane. They're demoralising our community, they're demoralising the country, and they're devaluing the country. They're devaluing the properties near these massive migrant camps, which properties go from being worth £1 million to virtually nothing because you can't sell them. It's extraordinary what they're doing. Do we know why they're doing it? God knows. I think partly it's desperation, but perhaps there's some kind of scheme. Perhaps they really do want to destroy this country as we know it. As I say, Tim McNally from Piddington is fighting what he calls the battle for Britain, and he's right. The very nature of our culture, of our country, is being changed by the importation of more and more and more migrants, not only illegal but also legal. What's going on? What on earth is going on? Alex Phillips will be in fairly soon. She'll be joining you after the 10 o'clock news, so she'll take you through till 1 p.m. It's going to be one hell of a show. In the meantime, thank you very much for joining me this morning. It's been an interesting Sunday morning. You have a brilliant Sunday all day.